Good morning and afternoon.
Hello there.
Welcome to the show. And welcome to my guest, Crual Birab. How you doing today?
Fine, thank you. All is well
Awesome,
here.
awesome. Well, we were supposed to have Cam on, but
Come on, do
apparently
it. Where are
uh,
you?
we can't find him for some reason. I hope he's okay. And hopefully he'll turn up. But we're going to go on with the show. We are missing Willie P this morning. He is unavailable today, and as well as Gobby. I think Gobby Guy is working on his Christmas lights, is my
Ah,
opinion. He didn't say so, but hope he's
he's,
doing well and having a good weekend
well,
as
hope he's
well.
not
So,
chasing anybody down the street with a stick again. So,
yeah, the Christmas decoration thieves.
yeah,
Yeah, those guys. So yeah, hopefully all our regulars are doing well and have a good
indeed.
weekend. And again, hopefully Cam will turn up. I hope he's doing okay.
Yeah,
But we're getting on with the show and on with the subject matter. We didn't want to wait too long. So we've got Abby someone in the chat. Good morning.
hello.
How's it going? We're gonna start here. And today's presentation is about what makes a sci-fi story good. And you go with the basics if you have any knowledge of storytelling and writing and stuff like that. Um, there's basics that you go with. Yeah, Abby.
Don't we all?
Yeah, I bet, dude. Yeah. I hear that. So yeah, there's basics that you start off with in writing, whether it's science fiction or romance or whatever it might be, just a story, fictional story, true story, whatever. You have to structure it in certain ways.
Right.
Um, and so there's some basic stuff, and I'll pull this up here on the screen and we'll go over it real quick. Just some basic story elements. I pulled this off of Google. So first is you got to deal with your characters, right? So you have characters. So who is the story about? Okay. So the basics. Who is the story about? The setting. Where, when does the story take place? Is it in space? Is it on a farm? Is it in the future? Is it in the past? You know, the conflict. What is the story problem? How is it solved? So what is it? Are we dealing with a war? Are we dealing with a drought? I mean, what's the issue and what's the solution?
Hmm.
Theme. What is the most important idea that the author presents through the story? You know, what could that be? Could that be, you know, the idea of some sort of inner struggle with their past? Could be redemption.
Yeah.
What is it? The mood. What is your general feelings or emotions in the story? Is it happy, sad, scary, adventure, etc.? And then you have the tone. What attitudes does the author take toward the subject? I can't read the rest of that, but basically, uh, the tone. So you have those elements there, and then there's another part here. Oops, go back. There we go. This is more
Right.
a little basic. This is even basic of basic pre-writing questions. Who are the characters? Okay. Where does the story take place? Of course,
Right.
again, back to that. What's the problem and the character will face? How do they go about solving the problem? How does the story end? Who is going to tell the story? So, pre-writing questions or basics uh, that are
Yeah.
there. I'm gonna pop over here just real quick to a message that I'd received from a writer that I follow, and they're part of, and shout out to the Gothic Therapy channel, both the master of the TDS and his wife, the Writing Raven. And I specifically asked the Writing Raven because she is an author. She does have there is I think it's called Wattpad, that's where her stories are listed. I I will get that information and eventually post it in the description of this, but shout out to Writing Raven and Gothic Therapy. She got back to me. I asked her the simple question. Again, my question was, as a professional question for you, what are the basics of writing, creating a good story, specifically sci-fi stories in any form? She got back to me and she said that I would say setting out a standard set of rules for how the universe you're writing is supposed to work. From there, develop a character living in that universe with those rules in place. What are the
Hmm.
limits, the pros, the cons? What does the protagonist want to achieve that might not be possible because of those rules? It sounds complicated, but the world building is definitely fundamental.
Hmm.
And indeed, it's fundamental to the story. Get that world building done.
Yeah.
And let me see here.
Does
But
indeed sound.
we're seeing a lot of and we had this discussion off the before we came on. We're seeing a lot of IPs, or franchises, stories, movies, things like that that are being either rebranded, rebooted, or sequelized, but they're being written and focused for the modern day. Even though you have now, when I say modern day, I'm talking about the political and social modern day, not
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
anything else.
Exactly.
Um, where these things never were developed that way. They took place in a different time. Like the setting is like some ancient medieval time, right?
Mhm.
Or it's uh, something that's already been established in outer space or whatever like that. So you have people trying to
Make it
shoehorn
about
in,
now.
yeah, the now, yeah,
Yeah.
and people trying to
Make it about now.
shoehorn in stuff, and it's just not working. And you're seeing that. We're seeing it in real time. Where you're trying to horn, shoehorn in identity politics, and the different forms that identity politics takes. Which identity politics is just that. It
Yeah.
uh, it it doesn't have a basis in the story per se,
No.
or in current IPs. Let's put it that way. Um, and here's a good example of two IPs, classic IPs. You have War of the Worlds, and you have Forbidden Planet. Now,
Definitely got
War of the
War of the
Worlds,
Worlds.
yeah, War of the Worlds. This is the poster for the 1953 movie,
Hmm. Very
um,
good.
and uh, it was written by H.G. Wells in 1897. It was written by him then. I think it was published in a magazine in 1898.
Right.
Um, and then, of course, the novel was published, at the same time. And then eventually in 1953 was made into a movie. And then again in 2005, I think it was the Tom Cruise version of the movie came out,
Somewhere thereabouts. Yeah.
War of the Worlds. But before that, War of the Worlds. Now, uh, War of the Worlds was made into a TV show in 1988 here in the
I,
States.
I've got
And
that.
I remember watching that TV series. But it took place basically in 1988, in the modern time, that time, 1987, 88 time frame that they filmed
Got it
it in.
over there. Yeah. Got it over there.
But
It's good.
but they took it at that point where it was 30 something years after the events of the 1953 movie.
Hmm. Yeah.
you
And the
know
aliens get
and
resurrected and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And they did that in a way which I thought was kind of interesting. I
Well,
I was
Anne Robinson there from the 50s movie is actually in the series in a few episodes as well.
I believe so.
So,
It's a good connection there.
mhm.
And I thought the series was good. I don't know how many seasons it lasted. I think it may have only been
two,
one. It could have been two. Two. Okay,
two
good.
seasons. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Although the second season doesn't really
right, and they
bear much
tried
interest in
to
it.
they did the Tom Cruise movie. Now I've only seen small bits and pieces of that movie. I've
Once, Seen it
not
once.
watched it
Hmm.
at all because I don't really care for Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
So I never watched the movie. I haven't really heard much about the movie. So I don't know if it was any good or any bad. I don't know.
It's all right. Yeah, I can
But
barely remember it, to be
and then
honest.
apparently in 2019 they attempted to come out with, I guess there's a series, another
Yeah,
television series in 2019, War of the Worlds. Now I've not even heard about it. This is the first I heard about it when I was doing the research.
I did. I'm not
And
sure if it's any good though.
yeah, I don't know anything about it. It's apparently I think it's on Netflix, and I don't watch Netflix.
I don't have Netflix,
So
so
yeah,
still.
so I don't know. I'll have to research a little more into that. But then you have, so this is a great IP. This is a great IP, and so far, any of the adaptations or any, they didn't really try to reboot it outside of the the Tom Cruise movie because obviously it takes place in modern day at the time that they filmed that movie.
Yeah, correct.
So they did a reboot for modern time, and I guess that's fine in 2005.
Mm,
Um, they didn't try to go back to 1953 and redo the 1950s and
no.
shoehorn in all our political correctness craziness into 1953, you know?
Have they
And
tried to reboot the Forbidden Planet at all yet?
I could not find anything.
I
I
didn't
could
think
not
so.
find anything. There was a reference to something called Return to Forbidden Planet,
Ah,
but I don't know if that actually was just a novelization or an actual. But that's it. I've not seen anything
no, I
for
was thinking.
Forbidden Planet, and
Mhm.
I was doing a little studying of Forbidden Planet. So that's 1956, and it was hailed as one of the premier sci-fi movies of all time. Forbidden
Yeah, it's a
Planet.
classic. Yeah.
It is, and I think it's outside of the 1930s and 40s Buck Rogers serials that had Buster Crab in them and Buck Rogers. This was the first movie that put humans into outer space, into a whole completely different galaxy.
Ah,
Because the time
didn't know
frame
that.
I think the time frame on this was supposed to be the year 2200,
Mm,
something like that was when this took place. But yeah, it's been hailed for everything that's right about it. Just great. The the thing is this, the I tried to look up and see what this was, if it was a book or anything like that, but apparently it wasn't. But this was a loose adaptation of, and a lot of people have correlated this to William Shakespeare's The Tempest.
all right. I'm not familiar with
And
that.
it's yeah, I'm not familiar with that either. I mean, I've seen Hamlet, I've read Hamlet and
I haven't.
Macbeth and all the whatever. But it was loosely based off Shakespeare's Tempest. The screenplay was written by a gentleman by the name of Cyril Hume, um, and uh, that was and directed by a Fred McLeod Wilcox. The movie was,
Hmm.
but yeah, Forbidden Planet. I mean, it had Leslie Nielsen in it,
Yeah,
Walter Pigeon.
straight roll for Leslie Nielsen as
Oh
well.
yeah, it's one of his first ones, I believe.
Yeah,
A
certainly very
great
young.
actor, you
Hmm.
know, great actor, and it's great acting in that. I think great acting all the way around. You know, we get introduced to the sci-fi icon Robbie the Robot.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, Robbie the Robot for decades after that was sought after at conventions, and he was even in other television shows and other movies too. Robbie the Robot.
I think you see him in
And
Gremlins, don't you?
um, he is, I'm not sure, possibly.
It's
I
just
know
a.
that he's also in one of the Looney Tunes movies, the one that
Mm,
had Brendan Fraser in it. That one, he
oh,
was in that one for a brief moment. And he was also in an episode of Lost in Space opposite Robot from
wow.
Lost in Space. So he did a brief cameo in that. He was He also did a brief cameo in the old 1970s Saturday morning show, live action show called Arc 2. He was in that. Um, yeah, Robbie the Robot got around. And because it was such an iconic robot character, you know.
Indeed.
But what made these shows, these movies, you know, of course, War of the Worlds was written by a great author. So it was written very well. Everything was, you know, everything was there. There was nothing to leave to chance, you know.
Hmm. Oh, we have a
Hey,
very special,
yes,
special guest in the chat.
File
Hello.
13. The Tom Cruise War of the Worlds was a great movie. It stood its own on its own, but held true to the original story. Uh, oh, yes. Morning, Chinese. Figured I'd turn it. Yes. Good morning. We miss you. Um, and that's great. It stood true. It stayed true to the original, everything
I
that was
believe
based.
so. I
You
believe it
know,
was
that's great.
more in line with the book. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's great. That's what you need. And then what made these two stories so well was the writing. You know, was the everything that put it all together, the characters, the scene, the you know, what's going on, the goals, you know, the surroundings, the setting. You know, there's space set. Well, War of the Worlds was not a space setting; it was an Earth setting,
Yeah.
being invaded by these, you know, things that came from outer space, whether it be Mars or wherever. They were
Yeah.
coming in and destroying and killing and all that stuff like that. It was really, you know, crazy for that time. And then Forbidden Planet was an actual outer space, you know, science fiction, you know, because it's out there. It's not on Earth. It's set in 2200. It's set on a planet, you know, galaxies away from Earth, you know, and it was the first movie that actually put humans in a setting outside of the planet Earth. And that's what made it so great. That's what made these two are just really great foundational work for, you know, the up and coming sci-fis that came after it, you know, whether it's a movie or a book or a comic book or a TV show, you
Hmm.
know, you have all these different things. Yeah, the 1988 TV show for War of the Worlds was pretty good.
I thought so.
Um, yeah, and it was kind of, it had some gore in there,
Oh yeah.
a little bit.
Get this.
Uh,
Get
for
this light on. It's a bit dark.
uh-oh, you're in the dark.
I know.
Uh,
If I don't get jumped in the
uh-oh,
head, let's see if I can press
you're in the
okay.
dark.
And here's one I
You're in the
had.
dark.
There you go. Look,
What is that? Oh,
that,
that's cool.
that's the
Yeah,
first season there.
that's nice.
Right?
Yeah, I loved that show.
Yeah, the
I
complete first season.
enjoyed
There
it.
you go.
Nice. Yeah, I like how they did that show.
Yeah,
Well, they
it
made
had
it 30 years, 30
had
years in the future, and so yeah,
Richard
great,
Chavez from Predator was in it as well. Colonel Iron
nice,
Horse.
nice. Yeah, and like I said, these two here had great writing. They had great fundamentals, especially the Forbidden Planet. You
Mm.
know, I don't know. I can't say. I don't know if this was if Forbidden Planet was loosely based off Tempest. I don't know. All I know is I've watched the movie several times. I enjoy it every time I watch it.
It's been a long time
Um,
since I've
I
seen the Forbidden
I
Planet.
would
Yeah.
love to have it on DVD. I'd love to have physical copies of both
Mm.
of these movies.
Well, I definitely
Um,
have War of the Worlds on
I
DVD
I
somewhere.
the last time I saw this old 1950 something was probably about 10 years ago, um,
Uh, few
on
years ago
whatever
for me.
streaming service, so
That's
or,
brilliant.
cable, but, yeah, and
Uh,
2 brilliant movies, great, you know, storytelling and stuff like that. I mean, and then coupled with great acting, you know, like
oh yeah.
Forbidden Planet, like we said, Leslie Nielsen, Walter Pidgeon, you know, and I forget the girl's name and it escapes me. Oh yeah, Anne Francis. Anne Francis played, you know, the girl.
Hmm.
And of course another great actress of our time. Um, but great pieces of work, great storytelling, great acting, just all you would ever want in, you know, sci-fi or let alone any type of story.
Yeah.
Great fundamentals, great basics, great foundational work. And then that brings us to these two beloved uh, series that are based on one franchise. You have Star Trek, the original from 1966 to
Yeah.
1969, and then you have the Next Generation, which was I think was it 1987 to 1996.
Something like that. There's
Yeah.
7 seasons of the Next Generation.
Oh, there was.
Um,
I know it came out in 1987. So late 87, I think.
yeah,
But either way, I mean, you look at Star Trek, the original series. It's a great television show
still is. Yeah.
by Gene Roddenberry. Yeah, still is. When he
Mhm.
pitched the original, he pitched the original pilot, which starred had Captain Pike, starred oh god, I
That's right.
forget the actor's name now. Um, but he pitched it as the Wagon Train to the Stars. What Wagon Train was a big Western television show back in the late 50s, early 60s, and he was trying to pitch that as this.
Mhm.
And, the first pilot didn't hook so well because it was more
No.
subliminal than action packed. Where they came with the second one, which I
Yeah.
think was called Where No Man Goes, Where No Man Has Gone Before. I think that was the original title. And then that had basically the all the cast with the exception of Walter Koenig was not in it.
No, he
He
was in the
came he came later.
second
Uh,
season, I think.
yeah, I think he came on later, but in that original pilot, we have Sulu, we have Dr. McCoy, Spock, Kirk, I think Scotty and Uhura was in there. Um, I think Major Barrett's character was in there too.
Periodically. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, she
She
played
was in
the
the
nurse.
original pilot. She was in the original pilot with
Yes,
Pike.
she played number one. She
Yeah,
played number one
that's right.
in that. And
And
then on the redo, and then also George Takei was in that original pilot too.
I don't recall.
If I'm not wrong, he was in that original pilot, or he was in the second. I know it was obviously
He was in the
Nimoy
second
was in it,
pilot. He was in the second pilot. Nimoy
right?
was in both.
Right, but
Although
anyway,
there was
I know that the
differences.
role that he played, what the role that he played in, whether he was in the first one or the second one, the role that he played in his debut, so to speak, was a much higher rank than he was, and he was more. He wasn't a helmsman; he was something else. He
Mhm,
was more of a scientific type officer, I think,
mhm.
if I'm not mistaken, or
S-
engineering or something. But
Yeah, I mean,
nevertheless,
the Spock character wasn't quite the same in the Pike one.
yeah,
Obviously, because they hadn't established it at that point. So
right. They calmed him down.
yeah, they did.
They calmed him down. Um, but yeah, I mean, you got 3 years of Star Trek canon lore, foundational work that was inspired, you know, by Gene Rod was created by Gene Roddenberry, and what was his inspirations? He had also already done work prior to this. He was a writer in other television shows. Um, you know, I think he was on a couple of the cop shows of the time, and some other stuff. So he'd been around Hollywood as a writer and stuff like that, and uh, came up with Star Trek as his baby, and the rest is history.
Yeah,
It spawned, the Next Generation, and then the Next Generation spawned Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine spawned Voyager. So you have off
yeah,
the originals television series, you had three spin-offs that held their own, all wrapped around the same uh, premise, the same story type situation, the same universe. Just the original series was, or the TNG was set like 80 years in the future or something like that.
yeah.
And then they
That could
did
be that.
these spin-offs. My favorite, honestly, was Deep Space Nine of all the three spin-offs.
Mhm.
Um, because I love Avery Brooks.
He's great.
He's
Yeah,
a
he's a
great
great
actor.
captain.
Great actor. Loved him when he was on Spencer for Hire. He played
I,
Hawk.
I
That
think
was freaking
on
awesome.
when you think about Deep Space Nine, I would say other than Khan,
Uh,
obviously, then in Deep Space Nine you've got Gul Dukat.
yes.
So
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
a very good
It,
villain.
oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that actor has always played bad guys anyway. I forget his
Yeah,
name, but he'd
yeah, yeah.
always played
Mark
bad guys.
Alimo,
Yeah.
something
And
like
he
that.
was
Yeah.
such a great, um, great actor. I
Mm.
mean, holy shit. And then the guy that played Garrick, I mean, he was the serial killer in Dirty
Yeah,
Harry.
yeah, that's right. Andrew Robinson. Yeah,
Yeah, he was the
yeah.
serial killer. That's when I first saw
I
him through the
know, I
makeup,
know.
I'm going, "Hey, that's the dude that was in Dirty Harry." I'm
I
like,
didn't. I never put that together to begin with because the first movie I think I saw him in was Hellraiser or something like that, right?
"Oh, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
and,
yeah.
and then it's just like it's as the years go by and you're watching these films and stuff over and over,
Yeah."
and it's like, whoa, he was in Dirty
He
Harry.
he's always played and, everything I've ever seen him in, whether it was just like a single episode of some TV show, he's always played a shady character or the bad guy type of,
Well,
except for
and
in Deep Space Nine was kinda interesting because he
he was,
played a very gray area
yeah,
character.
got it,
Very
yeah.
gray and, very, very mysterious,
I mean,
you know?
he played a terrorist in the A
Yeah.
Team and things like that, and
Yep.
what was it? Blood Wings, Pumpkinhead 2. He was a sheriff, so he was actually a good guy in that. But
Oh, there you
yeah,
go. Yeah, yeah.
but
I didn't see
yeah,
that.
yeah, it was all right. It's not bad. It's a
Cool.
nineties thing, but yeah, a lot of the time he does play like a shady kind of bad guy or something. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
I've heard
Willie
of
P
that.
here, File 13 says, "Look up War of the Worlds Goliath." Okay,
Mm, mm,
we might do that. But the thing is that with both of these franchise, and I separate the 2 because they're
yeah.
separated by a generational thing.
Hmm.
Here you have hence the name, the Next Generation,
Next gen. Yeah.
TNG, Next Generation was the next generation of the original, concept. And again, like I said, it spawned, you know, Generations spawned 2 different sequels after,
Aye.
it that held their own pretty well. I think
Yeah.
the better of the 3 was DS9, but, TNG
Mm.
was also great. Um, it
Aye.
had some every show is gonna have some dud episodes, and every show is gonna have some blockbuster, awesome, kick-ass episodes.
Well,
So, I
before we came on, I told you about my late friend, and
mhm,
he was more into Star Trek than Star Wars, and I was the other
uh-huh,
way around. And
mhm,
his favorite was the Next Generation. He loved Captain Picard and the crew of
right,
that show.
right,
That was his favorite. I mean, for me at the time, I suppose I liked it better myself, but
mhm.
I've kind of tuned out of the Next Generation because all the actors are political nut jobs now. So but that kind of killed it for me. But
Yeah.
I
Well,
I do have all this seasons of Next Generation and Voyager and Deep Space
mhm,
Nine and Enterprise and
mm,
the original as well. So
mhm. Well,
um,
see,
yeah,
you talk about, y say, for instance, in the original series in the '60s.
hmm,
So, Gene Roddenberry did filter in a little bit of political,
yeah,
things and things that were happening at the time, but he put
yeah,
them in perspective of alien worlds, outer space, and different situations. And so, but he did it in a way where it was kind of subtle,
mm.
but it got the point across without like throwing a pie in your face about it. You know what I'm saying? It
In
didn't
some
pollute it.
cases,
It didn't.
it was a case of these are issues,
Yeah.
and humanity at this point has moved past them.
Yes.
Because you would
Right.
see maybe alien races experiencing something that we'd already
Mhm.
gone through, and then
Well,
the lesson was this is what we did to get over it.
you remember the episode in the original series where you had um, Frank Gorshin played
Oh yeah, yeah, Frank Ocean, yeah,
the guy that played that was half white on one side and half black on the other, and then you had
that's
the
right.
other actor who was
The other way around,
Similar,
yeah.
was same except different. It was the
Yeah,
opposite side of his body was black and the opposite side was white.
that's right,
And
yeah.
so they were that Frank Gorshin's character was the ruling class or the class that was clashing with the others
Yeah,
because
very
they were
imperialistic, yeah.
inferior and stuff like that, right? They
Mhm.
were so you have the racism type of deal, but set in a futuristic alien outer space setting where it kind of hit home,
Yeah.
without without being, you know, overly um
Really good episode as well, by the way, a
yeah,
really
it
good
was a great
episode.
episode. I actually had that character. I had the Frank Gorshin's character in a 9-inch. I had a 9-inch figure, and I ended up selling it years ago, and I shouldn't have. I should have freaking kept it. I also had a Telosian too.
Alright.
I could kick myself in the ass for all of that, but nevertheless, he put it subtly. The same with the next generation. They kept true. They kept true to the ethos of Star Trek of you know of the story. They kept if the subject matter was not as it was too controversial, they would try to water it down or put it in a way that made sense without
Mhm.
ruining the story. That's
Yeah,
the whole point.
exactly.
Without
It's
ruining the story or making some political statement the basis of the story. You would work it into a fabric of the episode and go from there. And Star Trek, for the most
mhm.
part, with exception of a few things here and there, was episodic.
Yeah.
It was episodic
There
for the
there were
most
some
part.
episodes that tied
Yes.
in with other
Oh,
ones,
yes.
but
There was
yeah,
definitely ones that tied in as you went along, right?
yeah.
But they tried to keep that down. Even later episodes of the Next Generation, it became a little more. It was less subtle in some respects. I mean,
Mhm.
when they would try to horseshoe in modern day stuff. But
You still had good
nevertheless,
writing,
it's
that's the
great.
thing.
Yeah,
Good writing and execution, that's the whole
good
key thing
writing,
there.
and a good adherence to canon and lore and the mythos that was already preset by Roddenberry in the '60s. They just
Mhm.
built upon it. They expanded on the basics of that universe. And, you know, the problem is now we have this.
Alright, Time Prophet, hello.
uh,
Yeah.
and
Well,
right
I mean,
on cue, there are no good writers left anymore.
that's a good
Um,
point. Well, they're
it
either
is a
not
good
allowed
point.
to they're either aren't any or they're not allowed to write the good stuff anymore. It's one or the
True.
other.
Yeah, they're not allowed to write the good
Yeah.
stuff anymore.
Uh,
You see now, I I've seen the original J.J. Abrams movie. In fact,
same.
I've seen
I've seen
I've
them all.
seen I've seen them all. Yeah, I've seen them all.
Yeah, they're
Um,
okay. They're not
they're not
bad. They're not
yeah,
awful. They're not awful, but
they're not awful. They do have some good actors. Um,
mhm,
but um, it's not as I don't know.
it's not as good. I mean,
It's not as good. It's not as exciting. I mean,
my
yeah,
late
there's CGI and all that modern technology they're using and stuff, and it just doesn't make any. I don't know.
my late
It,
friend, he saw I think he at least saw the first one,
uh,
and he liked it. He liked it.
I
He
was
thought it.
excited for it. I could
He liked
understand.
it.
Yeah, the premise in the first one, the first one made sense
I forget if
when
he
you
saw the
put it
second.
in that context with the time travel. They changed the timeline. They changed some certain events, and the way things were done changed because of the events at the first part of the movie. So it
Yeah.
made sense from that respect, but it stopped becoming the Star Trek that we grew up with.
Mhm.
Basically after that. The movie itself, as a science fiction movie with action and adventure and all the cool effects, I mean, that was great. It was a good movie. But to bring it in as a part of Star Trek canon is left a lot of people with bad taste in their mouth.
Yeah.
And then you have there's only one Kirk, and that is Shatner. I hear
Oh,
you,
I'm gonna
brother.
do it. I'm gonna do
I
it.
hear you,
I'm
brother.
Captain Kirk. So
Yes.
that episode where they
Yeah.
get split, remember?
Right. Yeah. Star Trek was never about action. That was what happens when you give a Star Wars fan a Star Trek movie to I agree with you, Time
Yep,
Pop,
that's
100%.
all true.
Star Trek was more cerebral. It wasn't all about action. Yes, you're right. Even
You're
in
right.
the Next Generation, it was more cerebral.
And
Um,
as a
e-
kid,
yeah.
this was me. I was more into the Star Wars, right?
Mhm.
Because of that, he's absolutely spot on. And it was a case of as I got a bit, I always loved Star Trek, but as I got older, it's like you appreciate the ideas more because you understand
Yeah.
them better.
Right, exactly. Even well, I remember watching as a kid growing up, and I have the action figures from that show. Was the old Filmation? It was Filmation, or it was Lou Scheiber? No, it was Lou Scheiber. Yeah, yeah, his Filmation, Lou Scheiber, of the Star Trek animated series that came out in the early 1970s. I think it lasted 2 seasons.
Hmm.
And it had everybody from the original cast with the exception of Walter Koenig, who was doing something at the time. So it had everybody. It had Nimoy and Shatner and Doohan and Takei. Okay. And it had I think it had Nichelle Nichols in there. Yeah, it had Nichelle and it had DeForest Kelly. So it had all the main actors with the exception of Walter. For whatever reason, he was doing something and he just couldn't do it.
Right.
Um, but you have more action in that cartoon series. You have added action in that and expanded stories too. They revisited the Tribble. They revisited Harry Mudd. They revisited a
Oh,
bunch of different
Arrival,
things
yeah.
because they were after the fact. So it was like a continuation, only in animated form. And like I said, I've got a Spock, a Kirk, a McCoy, and a Klingon character. Uh, char- Characters from the Mego dolls from that. And yeah, there was more action I thought in that from looking at
Mm.
it. Animated action, which they could get away with and probably cost cheaper to do than live action. um, but yeah, so it was. But uh, that's another. It was a continuation of that kept it true to
Aye.
everything.
I've seen a
Um,
couple of episodes of that, I think. Yeah.
yeah. Um, and here's the time prophet dropping some knowledge. I hear 7 and 9 is a lesbian now. Oh well. Uh,
Resistance is futile.
did you know that Doohan always had a missing finger? Yes, I know. He was injured in the invasion of Normandy.
I
He
was
were he
not aware of
served.
that.
Yeah, he served in the Canadian military and was part
Mm,
of the Normandy landing, and got a finger blew off or something.
yikes.
One of his fingers. I think it's on his right hand. I think.
You certainly don't see it
I
in the
think that
show or the movies.
no, they tried to. Yeah, they tried to hide that, or he wore some sort of a prosthetic glove or something.
Oh, okay.
They tried to hide that, but yeah.
No, didn't know that.
Um, oh, here you go. You can actually see it if you watch the original series, but he hides it most of the time.
I suppose you're not
Um,
really looking for it though half the
no,
time.
yeah, you're not. You're not. It's just the
Is
way
it?
they shot it.
You know, is his finger there? You know, you're not really paying attention.
No, no, you're not. But yeah, it's like you see these guys here, the Picard. I have tried to watch a couple episodes of the first season of Picard, and I just couldn't deal with it.
Still haven't seen it.
I had to, yeah, I just couldn't deal with it.
Still haven't seen any of
Um,
the modern Trek apart from the JJ films, if you want to call
yeah.
that.
Hmm. Yeah, it's yeah. Now, I will admit this first JJ film here,
Hmm.
I did get some merch, and it was the Burger King uh, glass collection that they had. They had a set of 4 glasses from this movie. I think one had Pine's character,
Hmm.
one, and then Nemo's ship, and I forget the other two. probably McCoy and Spock, I'm sure, because those are like two favorite characters.
Yeah.
But I have those glasses, those that glass set. So, but that's the only merch I've ever picked up for any modern Trek. With outside of the Generations movie, um, I had a bunch of posters and other merchandise from that movie, the Generations movie, because Kirk was in it. So because
That's right.
Shatner
Yes,
was
he
in it.
was. Yeah, yeah.
So
Malcolm
yeah,
McDowell as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he was brilliant, brilliant in that movie.
His name is Soren.
Soren, yeah, he was brilliant in that movie.
I haven't
Just
watched it for a long time.
love that movie. Just he was, a great villain.
Yeah, he just ate
You
up
know,
the scenery, didn't he? Yeah,
he
he's
oh
really
he
good.
did almost like Ricardo Montalban. It was just,
Oh yeah.
oh yeah, great, great movie that was. Um, but yeah, the Picard series, I've not watched it.
I think I've got the
I've
box
tried
set.
to I've tried to watch it. Again, I don't. It's just weird, and a lot of it's far fetched, stretching stuff too. So I think I don't know, but yes, I have the Nimoy bust from the original Star Trek motion picture.
Fascinating.
Yes, I have that. Have you got the beer glasses? No, they're just regular, like iced tea type glasses.
You don't have you do not
I
have the
don't
beer
have the
glasses?
beer glasses. No, I don't.
That is not logical.
I don't. Yeah, here we go. Time Profits. The first 10 Star Trek movies are good. After that, forget it.
I think I've got the box set of all 10 of them, to
Yeah.
be brutally honest. I mean, I know I
And
I watched the original movies after I watched the original series, as one does, but I think it's all 10 of them. I've got up to Star Trek Nemesis in the box set anyway. Let's put it that way. So
Nemesis, I watched Nemesis and was not impressed.
that's the
I
first
thought
Tom
the
Hardy
story
film
was
I ever saw.
I thought I thought the frickin' movie plot was just abysmal, in my opinion. I didn't like it. I loved the other ones beforehand, but Nemesis was just,
Here's something I
I'm
remember
sorry, it
about
was just
here's something I remember about Nemesis. Romulan ale should be
yeah,
illegal.
exactly.
It is.
Right, right,
I love that
right.
bit. That's funny. I would probably say
Yeah.
the Next Generation movie is the best one is First Contact.
Yes, that
I
one
think
was
that
freaking
seems to
awesome.
be yeah.
That was a very good movie. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a good movie.
yeah.
Good movie. Very
Yeah,
good movie.
yeah. Time Profits saying the Picard clone Shins on by Tom Hardy. Yeah, that didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Nemesis was great, but the Captain Picard clone made it no sense.
Shins
Yeah,
on.
exactly.
Shins on.
It did make no sense. And Ron Perlman was in that movie too, but he played one of the
That's right.
Remans.
Yeah, he one of the
They looked like a
Reman.
freaking glorified vampire.
Did you?
It's like he looked like
I remember
horror movie
watching.
vampire.
I remember watching a little bit behind the scenes, and it's just like that he, Ron Perlman, and Jonathan Frakes as Riker get into a scrap, and they were talking about this behind the scenes, and they were saying, "Oh, we were discussing just how too old for the shit we are,"
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something.
So here's something the Time Prophet hits on. I mean, why didn't they make a Kirk clone? Would have made more sense. Let me tell you something. There was a book series that came out back in the 1990s, late 90s. Shatner wrote a series of books based on Captain Kirk that took place after his death in the Generations movie. And I forget the name of Spectre was one of them. But basically, the premise of the first book was that they had cleaned up the wreckage from the Enterprise D that crash landed on that planet. Kirk's remains were buried by Picard, and they put a marker. Well, they sent a team back at some point to retrieve Kirk's remains to bury him on Earth and whatever, right? They show up and he can't find his body. His body's gone. The premise was that Romulans had somehow or another got their hands on Borg tech.
Hmm.
They picked up Kirk's body, and they were able to streamline Borg tech to revive Kirk. And so they kind of did that, and with the goal of killing Picard. So that was a great. If you look it up, one of the books is Spectre. William Shatner's. It's his book series. I think there was 3 or 4 books. He also did Tech War before that, which was good, which got made into a TV series in the '90s with Greg Evigan playing the lead role. But yeah, look it up. It's good stuff. I wish I still had the books. I ended up having to get rid of them. Yeah, give them to Goodwill or whatever. But
That
um,
seems to be a common
it's
theme with you. I used to have this, and it was
I
really great,
had
and
to.
I had to get rid
Well,
of it. Ah!
yeah, no, and you haven't ever experienced this, so you don't know.
That's
But
true.
when you go through a divorce multiple times, you end up having to get rid of stuff you don't want to, just so that because the fact you have to lug it around with you from place to place becomes a burden.
Yeah.
So you have to do something with it. You either give it away or you sell it or find somebody to take it. You know, so that's kind of why I'm lucky to have what I have still now. But uh, again, that's a good book series. Look it up. Time Prophet. Check it out. Yeah, Tech War. You hit that was a very good book series. It was also turned into a television show. Um, Shatner writes some good stuff, really
Yeah.
does. I know he has some help with co-authors, but yeah, for the most part, he's the one coming up with the ideas. Look that up. Look that book Spectre up. It really is great writing. Again, great writing, great storytelling, great themes. Um, it will keep you wanting more. I know that. Um,
Sounds interesting.
yeah, yeah, but that was one of the things I was hoping they would have turned into a movie. But these came out way before the Next Generation movies. When Next Generation, like I said, this was like the mid '90s before the Next Generation came out.
I wonder if that's where they
So
got the
with
idea for
with
the
the movie,
Picard clone
yeah,
with the
it's a
Romulans.
possibility. I mean,
Slightly
but
different.
they did it differently because Shatner also incorporated the mirror universe,
Oh
which was
wow!
freaking
Yeah.
awesome. Oh my
Wow.
god, they had the evil freaking Picard, the evil Kirk was back. I mean, it was just, but it was set in that time period, in the Next Generation time period, you know. But you have it, you got to find the books. Find the books. That's the series they should have made into movies involving the Next Generation, because damn, they were just so freaking good. But yeah, not every movie has to be diverse. Wait, I got ahead of myself. Don't want them making any movies now. They should. Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, that's a
But
fact
again,
check too.
the writing in those Shatner books on Star Trek, Spectre, I think was the first one, but there's a bunch of them. I think it was a 4 book series that he came out with, and yeah, look it up. Good stuff, good writing, good stories, riveting stuff. Really kept you engaged. It's a shame they didn't make those into movies. Those would have been freaking awesome, because you still could have had Shatner in the movie. You still could have had Picard or Stewart back then.
Yeah.
A lot of the other characters, the other actors were still alive, still going. You could have had Nimoy in it too, playing evil Spock again. You could have had, or the Mirror Universe Spock, who became good. I mean, a lot of
Yeah.
the, I mean, you look at what they did with Deep Space Nine. They did like a 2 episode thing with the Mirror Universe based around them, about Deep Space Nine, and they even did one with. I think they did one with Voyager,
I think they
and
did
then
one on Enterprise as well, didn't
they
they?
did, and
Yeah.
that one was an interesting one.
I
That
was
one
trying to
was
think. I think
very
the
interesting.
mirror universe has been in
Yeah,
every
it has
incarnation.
been.
I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep, it has been. It has been, and then Shatner put it in his books too. which
Wow.
was freaking awesome. But it was a shame they never made those into movies. That series of books would have been phenomenal movie making right there. But again,
Mhm.
like Time Prophet says, that everything they make now, they just shit on it, and it's a shame, you know. I forgot what the next slide was. Oh, there we go. There's our comparison.
Sorry, what is this Star Wars you speak of?
This is the last slide. But yeah, so in talking about what he Time Prophet mentioned and shitting on them, I mean this you have the one on the right, which is the Rise of Skywalker, and the one on the left.
How come you didn't feature The Last Jedi, the best Star Wars movie in cinematic history? Come on. Come on.
Yeah, I didn't want to. I didn't want to make anybody sick.
It's a very good point. Aye.
So I remember when the Force Awakens came out, Episode One. Everybody was bitching about this, that, and the other thing about the movie. It was still a good movie because it was Star Wars. It was still Lucas based.
Yeah,
The only
I
the
liked it.
only the only real critique I had of it, and disagreement that I had, or just maybe a pain in the ass to me, was that they did too much jumping around the universe to here to there to there to there to there, just all over the freaking place, hopscotching
Mm,
everywhere. But as time went on, I started to realize, well, that's the premise of the movie. That's part of the movie. They jump from here to there to everywhere. Um, People were not too happy with it, and then the subsequent movies that led to the Clone War series. But again, it was Lucas.
yeah,
Lucas was involved with it. Lucas was writing it. Lucas was producing it, creating it. So he created that series of the
yeah.
prequels. So the prequel series,
It seems to be that he knew what he was writing about. Yeah.
yeah. And at this time, when the prequel series was coming out, I was working for Toys R Us as a manager. So I saw the debut of all the stuff, all three movies.
Yeah.
I saw all the merchandise. I saw all the video games that came out. Great video games, by the way,
Oh yeah.
were freaking came out.
Quite a few
Um,
good ones. Yeah.
a lot of good ones. Pod Racer was like big time for
The N64. I remember
Nintendo.
that.
Yeah, N64, Pod Racer,
I
and then
crashed a lot.
that was such a good game. And then that same time, then Nintendo upgraded and they created the GameCube system,
Rogue
which
Squadrons.
yeah,
Yeah.
Rogue
Yeah.
Squadron. Oh man, that was such a great game. But then you had, PlayStation and PlayStation 2 came out. They had their Jedi Powers games and the other games. They
Yeah.
had episode, or yeah,
The Battlefronts on the
Battlefront.
PS2.
They
Hmm.
had, well, PS2 also had, I guess it was
I
Star
forgot that.
Wars Demolition or something like that. It was kind of like a demolition type derby.
Was there not
I,
an Obi? Was there not an Obi-Wan game as well on PS2?
there was one, yeah.
Yeah.
But they had a couple of games for the PS1 that I had. I had like Jedi Powers. I had the Jedi
Dark,
Powers game, which was great.
Dark
Uh,
Forces still on the
Dark
cover over there.
Forces.
Yeah.
Oh, Dark Forces. Yeah, I had the cheat book for that. But you needed the book for that game. That
Oh,
was such a good game. But I lived through all three of these movies, the merchandise, and I saw the hype. I saw the love and the
yeah.
hate. There was not as much hate as people say there was,
Nah, I don't think
but
so.
um,
It's
the
probably been
collectors
amplified by social
the,
media these days. I think
the
so.
collectors went nuts for this stuff. I mean, there
Mm,
was literal fist fights in front of some toy stores. We'd have a midnight opening for the launch of like the new figures for one of the movies, and it was literally fist fights outside. People fist fighting in line. People running. You thought it was like Black Friday on crack. It was just nuts,
on
I
death
mean,
sticks.
people just went freaking nuts.
Black
For the
Friday on
merchandise, they
death
wanted the
sticks.
action figures. They wanted the action figures of everything. They wanted the action figures, and so there was lots of love. They made money. Lucas made an assload of money on the
I believe he
prequel
made a
series.
couple of pennies. Aye,
Yeah, just
just
a
a couple,
few.
one or two.
Um, yeah, everybody was panning over Jar Jar Binks. Binks was this. Binks was that.
Oh, Misa Jar
But
Jar Binks.
Binks actually was supposed to be. Hang on a second. I'm catching up with the Time Prophet. He's machine gunning chats over here, and I can't keep up. Slow down. Do it. Slow down.
Hello, Edge of Time.
Oh, Edge of Time. A brief interlude from the Time Prophet. Edge of Time. How's it going, man? Thanks for coming by. We're talking about what makes a science fiction movie or story good. Let
Nothing
me get over
cunt.
here.
Let's just put it that way.
Well, let's go. Let's just go down the line. Yeah, we already read that one. Yeah, we already read that one. I want to make movies now. They
Yep.
shit on. Yep. No. Not every movie has to be diverse. Yes, you're absolutely right. I played guitar for 30 minutes today, and my arm is in agony. Grr.
Ooh, still
Well,
so
dude,
shrill that
ice it down or something, man. I don't like parallel universe stories in any genre. Well, I guess it's an acquired taste for most.
Yeah.
Um, they just brought out the Willow series, and guess what? It's all about lesbians. Yes, I've seen several
Oh,
reports. It does not look good for that show. I don't think it's doing good in the ratings either. So, yeah, Time Prophet also says Return of the Jedi was the last Star Wars movie. Yes, it was a great Star Wars movie.
I love
Um,
it. I love it.
it,
That's the first one I saw
the,
in the cinema. I think. Yeah.
that's the only one I never got action figures or any toys for because by the time that came out, I was into women. I was into chicks. I didn't care about freaking action
Right.
figures. I was like
Women. I've heard. I do
14.
believe I've heard of
I
those.
was
Yeah.
14, so yeah, I was like, no, I don't freaking action figures. Ah, it's for kids. I could kick myself in the ass for that too.
You were going. You were
Oh,
going like animal. Woman.
yeah,
Woman.
exactly. Yes, yeah, exactly. Exactly. The Force Awakens was a remake of Star Wars and just replaced Hamill with a girl. It was shite. I don't don't doubt you at all.
I don't
I have
disagree.
not watched I have not watched 1 minute of The Force Awakens. I
Oh,
watched the
really?
last 30 minutes of The Last Jedi, and I've not watched anything of The Rise of Skywalker, and I
I've got the
choose new not to. And
Force
I even
Awakens.
regret watching the last 30 minutes of frickin' Last Jedi.
I
Have
got the Force
regrets.
Awakens on Blu-ray over there, but I haven't watched it in
Yeah.
years.
I got fed up with the hundreds of CGI robots getting destroyed. It got boring very quick. I could understand that. Yeah.
It could be worse. It
With
could have been the
episode
Last
1, I mean,
Jedi.
yeah, all the CGI robots cost less than the actual robots. But so you have this, and I know a lot of people. This series of the prequels were getting some bad rap from a lot of people in recent
Mm,
years, and then they came out with Disney took over Lucasfilm, which, by the way, Lucasfilm owned Willow. That's why Disney's
indeed.
doing Willow. So there's another IP screwed. But so they have, and I just pulled this one up because it's the only one I like because I like the picture of this. I didn't like the other pictures, but here you have the rise of Skywalker, which
It's a
you
good
know,
picture. I'm not going to say
I
it
it's a
isn't.
good picture. It's nice and colorful, and graphics are good. Yeah. I had this poster, episode 1. I had the movie poster, so it's a big
Same here. Yeah. Yeah. I had that
36 inch
poster.
by 24-inch poster in a frame in my room. Yeah, it was good. This one here,
Yeah.
I wouldn't buy this to put in my bird cage. Let's put it that way. You know,
No, it's.
but look at the
I.
difference and you look at the difference in the writing. So here you have the Rise of Skywalker has basically destroyed all kinds of canon, and just and here's another bad thing too that a lot of people were saying is some of these actors, some of the characters that were debuted in the Force Awakens,
All
by the
right.
time they got over to this movie, to the third movie, those characters were kind of like just ancillary, brushed off to the side. You know, like you have the
Mm-hmm.
Poe character and you have the Finn character, who the I for the layman looking at the Force Awakens, because I've seen bits and pieces. I've not watched the movie all the way through. I don't
I
intend
have.
to. I've just seen bits and pieces here and there of certain scenes. But the
Mm.
Finn character, to me, could have been a better character
Oh
if they
yeah.
expanded. It could have been better for the movie if they
Yeah. They
expanded
made him.
on
They made him a
him.
bloody. They made him a bloody
Because
janitor. Janitor essentially.
how in the hell did he know how to use a lightsaber?
Well,
In the end scene, the ending scene of Force Awakens, he's wielding a lightsaber like he's a master Jedi.
Yeah, that was on the trailer as
like he's a
well. That was
master swordsman, right?
specifically
And then
on the trailer
then
too.
after that, he's just like, oh, well, he's just the token dude, whatever.
A janitor.
We want Ray, yeah, Ray, Ray.
Yeah, I heard about that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was kind of a shame.
I mean,
Um,
this guy Finn. Let's just say he was, is a first order stormtrooper, right?
yeah, yep,
And he's defecting. That's a very interesting story to tell, a little subplot, if you like. But he's a janitor
yeah,
on Starkiller Base.
yeah. So Abby, someone in the chat said something here that makes sense. In my opinion, Lucas had a ton of information that he was trying to cram into the 3 prequels that made it feel rushed to me. And I can believe that
Yeah,
because I've seen
that's
all
yeah,
3 of
yeah.
them and it did look rushed. It did feel rushed.
I
I
agree with
mean,
that.
it was my opinion, the better of the 3 was the first one, was episode 1.
Really,
My opinion it was, yeah.
I
Um,
quite like Revenge of the Sith the best. But you see, the issue I
it
have with Rushed is
mhm,
it's like Anakin's turn to the dark side. It does build over the 3 films. It just
yeah.
seems to kind of like really just
Yeah,
stop
it's
in the
really the
third one.
last
So
half of the last movie.
it's just like
Yeah,
boom,
yeah, it
game
just
on, game
automatically
on.
right.
That was just
Yeah,
my own personal peeve, though. Doesn't shit all over the movie or nothing. But
yeah. Oh, what's he talking about? What do you mean? You're using the same background color as Mr. Brown uses. What?
how dare you? Sorry.
How dare you? How dare you? No, yeah, okay. Well, then I guess great minds think alike. I don't know. I just pulled it off of. I just used that color in the program. I don't know.
It's a very nice
I didn't
color.
want to
I
use
like that
black. I
color.
didn't want to use anything bright, so I got this like I don't know what color that blue green
Navy blue, maybe. I don't know.
blah blue green whatever.
Blah, blah. Yeah,
Yeah.
very technical
Oh, I
term.
have a bird cage. No, I don't have a bird cage now. I used to. I used to have a bird. I used to have a parrot years ago. Wasn't even my parrot. It was the ex-wife's. So, but no, I wouldn't have a bird. They stink up the place. You think cat box? You think a litter box is bad for a cat? Yeah, try having a bird cage with a big bird in it.
Oh,
Holy Jews, man, it's just nuts. Freaking yeah, juicy stuff everywhere. Ugh.
I still haven't seen The Rise of Skywalker since we're on the
The
subject.
Finn character got a lot thinner on the China release. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
they
we
got
heard about that. Yeah,
miniaturized. He got miniaturized. Yes, he did. He got thinned
mini.
out. I wonder why that is.
I
Um,
have no idea.
let's see. Time Prophet. Apparently, lightsabers are very dangerous to use unless you are a Jedi. Apparently,
Well, one would
but
think.
Finn used one very, very, very well in Force Awakens. So I don't understand that. Let's see here. Time Prophet. Oh, the prequels had too much politics in it. Make it boring. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It did have a lot of political undertones in it. Yes, there
I
was a
hate
lot of that.
politics. I hate
I
politics,
hate
but
it too.
I actually enjoyed the politics of Star Wars in some ways.
See, in the original, in the prequel, in the Phantom Menace, I think he overdid, and this is my opinion. I think he overdid the lunacy of the character Jar Jar Binks because the idea was, and it's come to light, that Jar Jar was supposed to have been the Phantom Menace, the unknown menace, because he was supposed to be Darth Plagueis reborn.
Well, I suppose he kind of still is. I
And
mean,
he did exhibit Sith or Jedi type powers in that movie in several scenes. The problem is that the goofiness of that Jar Jar Binks was made with just overpowered it, and it kind of pissed people off. So that's why that was most of
hmm,
the backlash is that the Jar Jar Binks was too much of a joke character to be them being taken seriously.
no,
And
I haven't seen
because I
either.
remember that was the talk. That was the talk back then
Yeah.
before the second movie came out, before episode 2 came out. Was that, oh man, I hope they don't freaking, ham it up with Jar Jar anymore because it was really a stupid character. Well, he had to go
Yeah.
back and he had to go back and revise that character of Jar Jar
Sorry, I'm thinking Qui-Gon Jinn here for a second.
because you look at
The ability to speak doesn't make one
yeah,
intelligent. Now please be
exactly.
quiet.
Right. Yes, exactly. Exactly. but it's a shame that he wasn't able to run with that character and show his, show what he was behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Uh,
Wait a minute, you're a Sith Lord, but you're a dumb shit.
exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't help it.
Yeah, if you're a
Ah.
dumb shit. Yeah. Andor was filmed in
No, I
Scotland.
didn't
Did Cruel
see any
Birab
of
see
that.
any of it? No. Have you someone?
Perthshire, oh my goodness,
Jar
Perthshire.
Jar was to be a Sith Lord or Master. He was. He was supposed to be the reincarnated or the mind transfer essence of his soul transferred from his Sith body to Jar Jar in his experiments, because you find that out in the third movie, just before you know when Sidious started kind of talking to Anakin about stuff, and part of Andor was filmed in Glentilk Park, Perthshire, Scotland. Okay, cool.
I didn't know that. It's got
That's cool.
relation in Perth, but yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so the Jar Jar character really got a bad rap from fans, and that caused Lucas to kind of tone him
Yeah.
out of the last two movies quite a bit. Um, but it is what it is. It's a shame they couldn't carry on with it. I think that debuting or revealing that Jar Jar was actually Darth Plagueis, you know, would have been kind of interesting. But it is what it is now. So, but yeah, was this Billy Connolly or Kevin Bridges?
I'm not related to either of them as far as I'm aware.
Connerly's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, then you have, the difference and see, here's the thing. Both of these movies are based on the exact same canon, the exact same mythos, the exact same setting, okay, and has some of the same character references at least.
Yeah.
It has similar plot, but one is despised because it's crap, and the other one is not. Because the one that's crap makes the one that used to be crap look like Shakespeare.
I haven't seen Rise of Skywalker at all.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't
But
either.
I've seen Force Awakens and Last Jedi. Now there
Yeah,
is in the back of my little brain there, it's just this kind of morbid curiosity about Rise of Skywalker, about watching it, but I just wouldn't
yeah,
pay for it, so I'm not going to.
yeah. No, I hear you.
Credits will do fine. No, they won't. Get that crap out of here.
Exactly. I mean, let's see. You have something like the Rise of Skywalker versus Forbidden Planet.
I'd sooner watch Forbidden Planet.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you get Forbidden Planet or War of the Worlds or
Or
The
that,
Time
yeah.
Machine, or you have all these great classic movies to watch. I
Yeah.
mean, even some of the cheesy B movies
Mm.
have a better plot than you know the the sequel series does, in my opinion. But what makes a good what makes a good sci-fi story good? Well, it's having the right character development, it's having the right settings, it's having the right plot that makes sense. Um, you know, Time Prophet in the chat says, I've actually read the book War of the Worlds. It's set in Britain originally. Yeah, it was because H.G. Wells wrote it. He's British.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
Come on, what's going on here? Yeah, yeah, it does. Okay, I hit the wrong button. There we go. The 50s were the best for science fiction. They were. I mean, you had like War of the Worlds came out in the 50s,
See
Forbidden
this.
Planet in the 50s.
What's that one? This Island Earth. I wouldn't mind seeing that again.
Yeah,
What's that? Earth versus the Flying Saucers. That kind of stuff.
yeah. Well, the day the Earth stood still.
I can't remember.
Was that in the
Seeing that.
50s or was that in the 60s? maybe that
Either
was early
or, either
60s.
or.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
I
that
wouldn't
was
mind
another
seeing that.
great movie.
Invaders from
Um,
Mars. I've got that.
yeah, any science fiction story with Robbie the Robot is always good. Yeah, exactly. And he was in a lot. He was in several different. He played cameos in other movies and TV shows throughout the last several decades between then and now. You know, so yeah, he's been around. Robbie the Robot was an iconic figure in science in classic science fiction, but he got around.
I've not seen
Um,
Space Odyssey all the way through.
yes, it was. It was done in 1969, I believe.
I'll
It was
probably have to
it
watch.
was
I think
Yeah,
just
I
to
think it
see
was
see
filmed
it.
in 1969, 1968, 69.
Well,
Yeah, it was freaking awesome.
one of the dudes that was in the original Star Trek show is in that movie.
Yeah, the guy that played
Silver Eyes. His eyes went silver.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
when I.
forget his name, Gary something or other.
Hmm.
Yeah, he played I know who you're talking about. Yeah, he was in that. That was cool.
He was in that episode of Star Trek. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the second pilot with Shatner in it.
I think it was after the second pilot, actually.
Was it? I thought it was.
Kind of mine. Kind of mine. I have to
I
watch it
thought it
again.
was the first pilot or the
It's
second pilot.
definitely the
Not
first season.
episode.
Definitely early episode, anyway.
Yeah, yeah. I forgot his name though. But anyway, yeah, another great character, another great actor there.
I'd have to see that film all the way through, though. I've never seen it all the way through, though.
Yeah,
2001.
I have read 4 of the Space Odyssey books by Arthur C. Clarke. Yeah, he's another guy that wrote some great stuff. You know, yeah, 2001, Space Odyssey,
A lot of
great
people
movie.
seem to think that 2010 is a lot better. I've not seen that either.
2010 was good. It had a lot of good actors,
Yeah,
John
Roy
Lithgow
Scheider.
and
Yeah,
Scheider. Yeah, it was a lot of good actors in it, and of course it had up to date CGI and special effects and things like that. So it kind of shed some light on the events of the original movie 2001.
yeah.
But then again, it really didn't. It did, but it didn't. You know.
Okay. Just
So
little tidbits.
yeah, it was still good. It was still a good one. Leonard Rossiter was in Space Odyssey as well before the Rising Damp. Nice. Yeah, exactly. 2001 is better. 2010 tried to explain too much and was very different to the book. Yeah, I'd heard that it was a little bit off from the book, 2010. So they did try to explain a lot. There's no question about that. No question about that. Then we have these guys here that were more influential to our lives. You know,
Aye.
growing up in the 70s, I always watched the reruns, Star Trek.
I saw it in the
From the
80s because it
yeah,
was still showing then as well.
yeah,
And
yeah. Oh
and the
yeah,
bulk
they were
and the
still
bulk
showing
the
them.
bulk the bulk of the original series movies were in
Yeah,
the 80s too. So
that's true. Yep,
it's a
absolutely.
great time for me. Great time
Yeah,
for me.
yeah. It was great for sci-fi, 70s and 80s, in the small screen and the big screen.
Yeah.
They had a lot of TV shows that were sci-fi based that came out in the
Mhm.
80s. You look, even though they didn't last long. I mean, uh, you had like that show Automan. It was
Heard of it.
on for like a season and it was canceled, but it was still something. It was they had um, you know what else was it? Manimal. That was
Heard of
on
that
for
as
about
well.
two.
Yeah.
I think it was on for a season to 2 seasons. That was kind of interesting, where a guy could morph into different types of animals,
Simon
to solve crimes
McCorkindale,
and stuff.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you had things like that. Then of course they came back with TNG in '87.
Right.
Um, you had Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi in '80 and '83. You had then off of that you had the Droids cartoon series
Oh
that came
yeah. Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Yeah. I
It
remember
was
that.
and the Ewoks too. They had an Ewoks
Yep.
cartoon series
And the
based off
movies.
of
And the
those.
movies.
Yep,
Ewoks
yep.
movies. Yep.
Hmm. So you at that time too. You had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I do
The
believe I've heard of
They had
those.
the cartoon series, but also the movies that came. There was a couple
Well,
movies.
I've got the movies. I've got the
Oh,
original
those came out in the late 80s. It could be the
90,
90s, but
1990, I think. I've
yeah,
got them. I've
yeah,
got those
and those were
films.
interesting.
Those are great
Again,
films.
those are science fiction type of deal,
Yeah.
fantasy. There's a lot of interesting stuff. In TV shows like in Europe, there in England, Blake Seven, and also we're at Dwarf. Of
Hmm.
course, Doctor Who.
Oh yeah.
So you have science fiction all over the world.
Oh yeah.
Um,
There's lots of it. Yeah.
I mean, even in other countries like India, they have their own sort of sci-fi type fantasy, outer space, superhero type stuff. Or Japan, look at freaking Godzilla and
Ah,
all the
yeah.
stuff around Godzilla, or
Oh
the other
wow.
studio that
Yeah.
came out with Gamera at the same time, in the 60s.
Is it
So you have all
Toho?
that, yeah,
Toho?
Toho
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all the other places.
Yeah.
You had all kinds of different stuff
Oh,
based on
those
giant monsters or
Godzilla
giant
movies are great.
robots. Oh yeah, giant
Yeah.
robots and giant monsters and all kinds of different
King
stuff.
Kong.
Yeah, King
Godzilla versus
Kong
King Kong.
and
I've
King
never seen
Kong. Yep,
never seen
that
that
was
film.
a that was actually a funny one because it's just two
Never
dudes
seen
in
it.
suits and it's
Yeah.
funny. It's funny fight scenes. It really is. It's funny. Good, but it's funny. Um, but yeah, I mean, we'll look at in the United States, they had the science fiction like the Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. They
I've
had a
never seen it.
sequel. They had a sequel to that. Where was a guy that happened. You had the freaking Incredible Shrinking Man from the
Not
1950s.
I haven't seen
That was
that
an
one either.
interesting. And they did a remake of that with Lily Tomlin
The
back, I
Fly.
think.
Is that science
Fly,
fiction?
yes,
Horror? I don't know.
the Fly. They had the original Fly. It was in the 1950s.
Is that
I think Vincent
Vincent
Price. I think he was in
David
that movie.
David Hedison as well, I think.
Yes, yeah. I think
He
that was in the
he
60s.
yeah, I've seen it
Um,
once.
I mean, you had things like that, and what was it? The movie Them about the giant ants. That was a good one. I mean, they had
Invasion of the
in
Body Snatchers. How come you haven't
yes,
mentioned that?
yes. The original, I think that was in the 1960s, early 60s.
I
And
haven't seen that.
then they
I've
did the
seen
remake. They did
I've
the
seen the
remake,
remake,
yeah, back in the late 70s, I think it was, or early 80s, one or two. But yeah,
Genesis 2 with Alex Cord. Was that the one that he was
yeah,
in? Was it? I haven't seen it.
I'm not sure.
Alex Cord was in an episode of the War of the Worlds TV show that I
Yeah,
showed off earlier. Although
yeah,
he's more famous for Airwolf, really. But yeah,
right, right, right. Oh God, wait a minute. Am I getting my ass kicked over here? Hang
I
on a
have no
second.
idea.
I don't know what's going on. Hang on a second. I think I saw a Wookiee Fever at the start of Space Odyssey. Hello, yeah, there you go. Gene Roddenberry had 3 failed pilots before Star Trek. Yeah, he had a lot of failed stuff. Saying England instead of Great Britain is offensive. Scotland, England, and Wales are all united. Excuse me. Oh my
It's
god,
a,
dude.
I think it's
Roddenberry's Genesis 2 with Alex Cord. Yeah, I think there was a series
oh,
after
is
Star Trek in the early mid 70s he did. It didn't last long, maybe one season, maybe not even that. And it had John Saxon in it. And he was kind of a
uh,
guy that was he was frozen in time and they revived him or something like that. Is that what that is?
no,
Genesis
John
2?
Sachs. I was thinking about this. John Saxon
Yeah.
was in a movie called, I think it was called Planet Earth, and that had what's the guy's name that played Lurch in the Addams Family?
Oh yeah, Ted Cassidy.
He was in it, and
Yeah.
basically, if I remember correctly, there was a whole bunch of folk were out with the city, and that there was a like a group of women, and
Mm,
in like a settlement, and there was a group of like mutants somewhere else.
mm,
Uh, and that was I'm sure it's called Planet Earth, and John Saxon was the main character in that. I'd love
mhm,
to see that again because the uniforms that they wore were very similar to what the original series of Star Trek wore. very similar to that.
Mm,
And I
okay.
think they were designed by.
Yeah, I can't remember which the name of the thing but John Saxon was in something that was a Roddenberry TV show.
It had
Um,
what's her name? It was Dr.
I don't know.
Polanski from there. Next Generation. She was in it.
Yeah, John Saxon was in another failed pilot, Strange New World. Huh.
I think it was
Maybe
Planet
that's the
Earth.
one.
Planet Earth.
Hitchhiker's
Planet Earth.
Guide and Red Dwarf. Yeah, Hitchhiker's Guide. I forgot about that one. John Saxon and Alex Cord both played Dylan Hunt in both movies. Both which movies? Dylan Hunt. Dylan Hunt. Why is that name Dylan Hunt ring a bell?
Not sure.
Dylan Hunt was also the character in Andromeda, which was okay.
I've not seen that.
That's where I
Andromeda.
remember
Yeah,
that name, Dylan Hunt.
I've not
Okay,
seen it. That's supposed to
Andromeda.
be good. That's supposed to be good. That Andromeda. I've
That
never seen it.
series was a great series. It was one of the last things that he actually did, and his wife and son were the ones that actually produced it after he
Is
passed, I
that
think.
is that
But
the
he
one with Kev?
picked
Is that
that was
Kevin
one Kevin
Sorbo?
Sorbo. Yes, that's
Right. Excellent. Aye. I
he
thought that.
actually
Yeah.
yeah, I think he's the one. Roddenberry was the one I think that it offered to put the role to Sorbo, I think. And then shortly afterward, he passed away.
Hmm.
But there was some stuff I know that Roddenberry's
I heard it
son was
was all
trying
right.
to do, and of course his wife Marjorie Barrett. They did that one, and the other one is with the aliens that come to Earth. Was it V? No, Invasion. Maybe it was Invasion. Maybe that was the name of
Not
it.
sure.
Those are the last two things that Roddenberry had done, and they got them produced, and they were both pretty good. Andromeda was good. Um, Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda. It was a good one. But yeah, Dylan Hunt was a character. He used that same character
Okay.
name. Okay. Genesis 2 and Strange New World had the main character of Dylan Hunt. Hmm. That's like the old John Smith of old. Hi, I'm Dylan Hunt. Will the real Dylan Hunt stand up, please? Oh, here we go. Yeah, just tired. Is he in relation to Mike Hunt? Yeah, I don't know. Could be a cousin. Could be a cousin. Yeah, heck. Uh, well, I don't know. What, if anything,
I was seeing Genesis 2 as well. I haven't seen that, so
yeah, Genesis 2. Well, of course, if that was a Roddenberry thing, she was involved in it one way or the other.
I think she did
Um,
something. She had something to do with the costumes in Star Trek as well, didn't she?
yeah, Major Barrett was also Jim. Yep. My con is Harry.
No
Stream,
comment.
stream killer. Oh, so what have we learned? Who are the characters? We had a lot of beloved characters in movies. Where does the story take place?
Uh,
Oh, outer space. What's the problems that the characters will face?
bad writing.
There you go. Yeah, bad writing. How do they go about solving the problem? Boycott the movie.
Big pointy sticks.
Yes, big pointy sticks. How does the story end? Poorly. And who is going to tell the story? Well, shit. I don't know. We already know all about that. So, yeah, but what makes a sci-fi story good? Well,
Nothing current.
nothing current. Well, what makes a sci-fi story good is that you don't inject your present day uh, political beliefs. You don't mm, sacrifice the story for those beliefs.
Yeah.
You don't race swap or gender swap or culture swap the main character from a current IP in your revision, readaptation, or reboot, or however you want to call it. That's how you make a sci-fi story good. Is basically don't ruin what's come before you by
Yeah.
interjecting present day themes. They're not necessary to a story. If they're not necessary to the total development of the character or to the problem solving or solution based outcome of the story, then why do you have it there? Other than just to be a political banner to wave in your face and say, see how good we are. Um,
Yeah.
and that's just it, yeah. And so, you know, it's hang on a second. What's he got here? I don't think he was going to read that. I have written a book, but I have been too busy to edit it. You've been too busy editing your what? I mean, too busy what with your YouTube channel? Nah, you're never busy.
Videos, doing your video editing,
When
playing guitar
I
when you
write
should be resting
characters
that
who
arm.
don't believe the same as I. Well, yeah, here we go. When I write characters, I write who don't believe the same as I do. So you write opposite. There you go. Agenda. Yes, agenda. Get rid of the freaking agendas and just base it on the story. If the story is, you know, the story is key, no matter which one you've got. It's like you look at the classic, look at Forbidden Planet. It was a great story. Whether it was an adaptation or was inspired by Tempest, I don't know. Who cares? All in all, it was a great movie. The great movie, great actors, great writing, great storytelling. They didn't interject any kind of 1950s political crap, um, you know, in it. They didn't belittle anybody. They didn't, and they didn't raise anybody up on a pedestal. It was all kind of like just an even shot. You had the quasi mad scientist in Dr. Morbius. You had the military guys in, Nielsen's uh, role and
Yeah.
as the character that he was playing, and then you had the sci-fi element of being on a planet with strange alien technology and a
And
robot.
a robot. Yeah.
And a robot. So yeah, I think they based the ID on look if but yeah, the thing is that makes a great sci-fi story good is don't pollute it with unnecessary BS.
And
Like
imagination.
I've yeah,
Imagination would be handy, yeah.
exactly. Even some of the stupid dorky movies from the 1980s, sci-fi movies. I've seen a few. They didn't get very far, but when you know, they were only that way because they had poor props, poor filming, or something. Right? It was low budget.
Mm,
Low budget
yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna be bad. It just means
No,
it's low budget. Um,
exactly.
and they become cult classics. They do. They become cult classics over time because
Some do,
people
yeah.
enjoy the story, they enjoy the actors or the character or whatever. It never was a hit at the box office for whatever reason. You look at the different. I mean, what's the difference between the Beastmaster movie or
I've
movies
never
and
seen that.
Conan the Barbarian? Yeah. Now the
Never seen Beast.
Beastmaster
I've never seen Beastmaster.
Beastmaster was actually, and I think they ended up having a TV series about it too, Beastmaster. But it was a series of movies.
Mhm.
Interesting, kind of like,
Mark Singer from V, since you mentioned V
hmm
earlier.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, and here he goes. And Wikipedia says, "Did you spot Richard Anderson from $6 Million Man in Forbidden Planet?" Um, yes, yes, he was in it. Yes, Richard Anderson. Um, yep, I remember. He was in there. He played Oscar Goldman in the $6 Million Man. Enemy
Oh,
Mine, yeah.
that's a good one.
Enemy
That's a good
Mine was
film.
a
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
great movie. Great movie.
I've got that
Awesome
somewhere.
story. Awesome story. Yeah, I'm glad they didn't muck it up with a sequel. I mean,
Yeah.
it was such a great freaking movie.
Yeah, that's right.
Really was. Uh oh. I have a confession. I was late because I was watching the Dirty Harry movie while eating my dinner.
Really?
Well,
Well, that's
all right.
okay.
Well, that's okay. We'll allow it. I'll allow that. It was watching
Since it's
Dirty
Clint
Harry.
Eastwood,
Yeah.
yeah. Clint Eastwood's
Yep.
good. Yeah.
Yep. It's Clint Eastwood. Oh yeah.
Do I
Holy
feel
smokes.
lucky?
Do you feel lucky? Do you? Do you feel
No.
lucky? Yeah. Do you feel lucky, punk? Um, holy smokes. So yeah, what's on your agenda today with your what's on your on your menu there for watching pleasures, you
Oh,
know,
I'm still
your
watching.
movies.
Started watching, if I can find it without knocking everything off the table. Oh, I'm away to knock everything off the table. I started watching this Black
Oh, Black
Sails.
Sails. I've heard about that. I hear that's a
Yeah,
great 4 seasons of that, right?
4 seasons. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a prequel to Treasure Island, actually,
Oh, really? Nice.
which I knew about and then I forgot about and then I remembered.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yep.
I'm enjoying it so far. I've watched it, finished the first season
Hmm.
last night,
Right.
so it's good.
Yeah, we were just talking about Robert Anderson. He was in Deep Space Nine, played Garrick. Yeah, he was in the Dirty Harry movie. He played the crazy bad guy.
Hmm?
Papa Cotton, hey, how's it going? Welcome
Hey,
here to the channel. Uh, and then Abby, someone still needs more drugs. So all
best
I
we
can
can.
offer you is caffeine,
I was about to say coffee.
coffee.
That's about
Yeah,
yeah,
coffee, and a Tylenol.
yeah. But
But
no, that's what I'm watching at the moment anyway, and
yeah,
I'm enjoying it so far.
cool, cool.
I will say that there is a couple of characters that were in a bit of a lesbian relationship, which if I was a bit, huh, not sure that would have happened in
Mm,
pirate time, but who knows?
yeah, who knows? Yeah, exactly. So, how old is
You know,
that series? Sounds like it's fairly.
2014, I think, somewhere
Yeah.
there about.
So yeah, that's when they started shoehorning in all that
Mm,
stuff.
yeah, yeah, and
So
there's some powerful female characters in it, and well, Anne Bonny, obviously that's based on a real person, so it's a
Andrew
pirate
Robinson.
woman, so
Yeah.
it's kind of hot actually, but yeah, never mind.
Yeah, I've seen clips. I agree. I've seen clips.
Yeah.
Um, now going back to something that the Time Prophet said
Okay.
about. Let me go on here. Pull it. Pull
Dirty
it back.
Harry. Okay.
No, 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 no. Here we go. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the
Oh,
movie
okay.
that I saw, I enjoyed it.
I don't think
Um,
I've seen that.
Now, obviously, the book has been out for a long time for that.
Cocaine,
Yeah.
cocaine bear. Yeah, I've seen clips of that.
So, Hitchhiker's
Yeah.
Guide was a great sci-fi movie with an
Mm,
interesting premise. Um, I've not read the book, but again, I've seen the movie.
I've heard of it, and
Um,
I may have seen a bit of the film or something. I don't know.
yeah. Uh, wait, Time Prophet with some facts. Being gay was still illegal in Britain in the 1960s.
Well, technically, it takes place at Nassau, so I don't know. Does that count?
And Nassau, yeah,
Yeah, does that
exactly.
count? I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah,
I mean,
I
I can allow certain things. I mean, one of the women's was a working
yeah.
woman. I don't want to say
There
the
you
word,
go.
you
Yeah,
know.
there you go. Yeah, yeah. I know.
So I
A
don't.
lady of the evening.
A lady of the evening,
Evening.
yes. Although sometimes it
Yeah,
took place through the day, but
yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, Papa Cotton says that I know it's not science fiction. I haven't been excited for a movie in a long time. I can't wait for the Cocaine Bear. I've seen the
I've
trailer
seen
on
the
that.
trailer. Yeah,
It looks funny, but again, in the trailer, they always show you the bits and pieces that they don't actually put in the movie.
or very
It's
little.
usually
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
usually the clickbait. So supposedly it's based on a true story, but the thing is, the true story has been exaggerated because the bear didn't live for 15 minutes after he ingested all the cocaine. He ended up dying. So, So yeah, it does have its funny moments though, but he still kills a lot of people in the movie. So it's kind of like a comedy horror, I guess you'd want to say. I don't know.
Well, Time Prophet
The
is saying
trailer
that
did look good though.
yeah, it did look good. Time Prophet is saying he'll give it a miss. Well, I mean, you could. I mean, I haven't seen
Yeah, I
all of it.
mean,
I
I
haven't
could.
seen all of it yet. So, I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know if they're going to go heavy-handed with a lot of that, or
yeah.
you know,
Who knows?
um,
Like I said, normally in the trailers they put in the good bits and pieces as
and
clickbait to get you in, and then you know. But who knows? Time Prophet also
with
says
the
the Hitchhiker's Guide. The
with
movie was awful. Yeah, the movie
don't
was
think I've seen it.
awful, but the series was better. I haven't seen the series. What was it? A televised series or the book series? Prophet. I haven't
It
seen it.
says a radio series.
I forgot the most important thing that it was supposed to be funny. Oh yeah. um. Yeah, I have all 6 seasons of the Hitchhiker's Guide, a radio series. Apparently, everything started because of a planet called Cricket. Yeah. Um. So there's a radio series was better than the movie. Um. When did the book come out? Prophet? Do you know? When did the book come out? Anybody know? Papa Cotton? Edge of Time? Anybody know? Abby? Abby? Someone? When did the book Hitchhiker's Guide come out? Or was it a series of books? I know there was a book, but yeah. Papa Cotton is saying that he liked the movie okay, but the series was better. Uh, Prophet of Time says Hitchhiker series was a radio series and then a BBC TV series. Oh, really? But
Hmm.
when? When? And when did the book come out?
In junior high,
Yeah,
he's read.
he read it in junior high. And then hang on a second.
70s.
And Abby someone says it's out in the 70s. Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, the book came out in 78. There was a 5 books in the trilogy, so it was a 5-book series. Nice. Huh, cool. That's cool.
Not so familiar about that, but
Yeah, I
yeah,
you know,
I've
obviously
certainly
it
heard
was
it.
was pretty popular. When
Hmm.
when did it become a radio series and then into the TV series? At the time, 79. Okay, 79. Yeah. See, a lot of the sci-fi stuff was coming out in the 70s. So
Yeah.
you had, Star Wars originally came out in 77.
Yes.
You had, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy came out as a book in 79. There are a lot of books that came out back, at that time. TV series was 79. Is that what he's The TV series
Hmm.
was 79. Really?
Ah, okay. I was two.
And then Papa Cotton says he only read one book, and all the computer graphics in the TV series was hand drawn. Really? Hmm, cool.
Interesting.
I've read all 5 books. Okay. So the TV series came out in 79, so I'm assuming that the radio series came out the same year before that when they adapted it to TV. I haven't seen the TV thing. There was one, what the hell was the name of it? It was in the 70s. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Blake 7, but it's not. It's God, I've seen a few episodes of it on YouTube, and for the life of me, I can't remember the name of this stupid thing. But as an interesting kind of like post-apocalyptic, um, like a survival arc of humans that is in outer space, and they're all in deep hibernation, and a few of them wake up and they find out that they thought the world that they were living in, because there's like there was different habitats that were blocked off from each other. Like someone's like in the old west type series. Other was like, in kind of a genre, and then there was another section of the ship where the habitat was something else of another region of whatever, and so they were not aware of anything else other than what's inside their habitat. Well, then a group of them actually find a way out
Hmm.
and discover that they're in a ship, and a hibernation type ship, and that um, that they're in a ship, and the ship is heading into a dangerous, like it's getting too close to a sun or something like that. Something's going to happen to it. So that's how
Sounds
they were able to get
interesting.
out. And I can't remember the name of it for the life of me. I've seen a couple episodes. It's kind of interesting. Never heard of it before. Um, but yeah. Papa Cotton says he didn't realize there was more than one book. Me neither. I thought it was just one book. Radio series was a broadcast of '78 originally. Really? Okay. But anyway, the thing is that movie kind of reminds me of the oh no, it escapes me. A modern version of that. What do they call it? Oh, I forgot the name of the movie. And
Event
um,
Horizon. I've never seen that.
no, there's event. It's not Event Horizon. That it's the modern version has what's his name, Quaid in it. Um,
Who?
Randy Quaid. No, not Randy Quaid.
Dennis
He's
Quaid?
the Dennis Quaid. Dennis Quaid is in it, and
A, a
he
movie?
it's a movie, and it's what the heck
Inner
was it
Space?
called? It was called this. No, it was a space movie where they had a ship with a bunch of people who were in stasis. They were
Oh,
heading to a planet,
I know
and
that one.
they were
Pandorum.
yes, that's the one. Pandorum
Over
reminds
there.
me of the of a type of remake of that old TV show. The one I was just trying to explain where they had them in different habitats. So
Right.
it's kind of like a different take on it. But I forget the name of that stupid TV series. Um,
Yeah, I've got Pandorum on Blu-ray.
yeah, I watched that movie. It's kind of interesting. Uh, nice. Sandra Dickinson played Trillian and married David. Yeah, Peter Davidson, who played Doctor Who, and then they got divorced later. Oh, that's a shame.
Hmm.
Enemy Mine? No, 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 no. Well, that
Wasn't
was a
that?
good one. Yeah,
That's a
yeah, yeah,
good
yeah,
film, yeah.
yeah. It was a good film. It's not the one I'm thinking of though. Anyway, it was a television series. It could have been an English series, but they had a bunch of Americans or Canadians in it. One of the two. Um, I can't remember. It was late '70s, and my brain is just not computing right now. But anyway, so there was an interesting side. It's like I said, it came along. It kind of reminds me of Blake Seven, in that a
Okay.
lot of the similar stylization of props, costumes, things like that. So you're looking at late '70s, early '80s stylization of the props, costumes, and the the theme was kind of more fitting at that time, but I can't just think of the name of it.
I hate to interrupt, but can you actually hear those lorries, those trucks tooting their horns?
I don't.
Oh,
No,
you don't? Okay,
I don't.
there's like a Christmas lorry thing in the main road just over there, so they're tooting away.
Uh-oh.
Just wasn't sure if you
Uh-oh.
could hear them.
What are they? Oh, are they just having like
Just like
are
a
they
wee,
like a little parade or something? Or
yeah, it's just a wee
okay,
thing.
cool, cool, cool. Robinson Crusoe on Mars. Uh, yeah, I have Adam West. Yeah, no, I have not seen that movie. I've
Oh
heard
wow,
about it,
Adam West.
not seen that.
No, I don't think I have either.
No, no. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. How about that? Great Robert Urich turn. Ice Pirates. Yes.
I don't know if I've seen that.
That's a B movie.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to. Is that the one, Richard, that they have the the space herpy in it? Yeah. All right, that's the one. I believe it's that one. Space herpy. Abby, is it space herpes in that one? Don't want to mess with the space herpes. They're pretty ugly looking. Yes,
Yes.
the space herpes. I remember that. That was freaking awesome. Yes, a a wonderful 1980s turd movie,
I don't
Ice
think I've seen
Pirates.
that.
Yeah. Oh man, too funny. Oh, well, then there's the classic Spaceballs.
Spaceballs?
Fresh balls. Oh, and speaking of another classic, um, Time
No.
Bandits.
Ah,
Time Bandits. What a great movie that was.
I haven't seen that in years.
Yes.
That was a good film.
Yeah, Time Bandits. What a great movie. Uh, yeah, it was good. A lot of good cameos.
That was
Connery was
probably
in it,
that's probably
and
the
then I
first time
think
I saw
Phil Collins was in it. I think too, wasn't he?
Time.
I think
I'm
he had
not
a
sure.
cameo.
I mean, Sean
Yeah,
Connery,
yeah. I
definitely.
know Connery was in it. Um, what was it? There was an older actor, and he ended up playing God or something like that.
You know
The
what? I've forgotten his name.
the bandits, they
Is it
fight God,
Ralph Richardson? I forget. Is it Ralph
something like, and he
Richardson?
made he made the devil who was chasing the guys. The devil or Satan was the one that was chasing the time bandits because they
David
stole
Warner.
something from him. He
David
stole
Warner.
something from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, it was
He's It's the
interesting
first film I think I saw David Warner in, and he scared the
time
crap out
bandit.
of me when I was no,
Yeah,
Or maybe Tron, one of the two. It was either that or
yeah.
Tron.
Tron. There's another
Yeah,
great movie. Tron.
yes, yeah.
Uh,
That's sci-fi. It's right enough.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. The Last
that was a good.
Starfighter was a good one too.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
I like
Last
that one as well.
Starfighter. Yep. Yeah, Robert Urich was a good in Vegas. Yeah, it was okay. In Vegas. Um, yeah, he was. Let's see what is going on here. I got the Last Starfighter DVD. One of the early movies to adopt computer graphics. Yes. Yeah, it was a
It's a good one.
interesting, basic tech when CGI was coming into it. So yeah, it was it was good for its time, says Abby somewhat.
Yeah.
And Ron Perlman was also in Ice Pirates, says Eloa. I don't remember him being in it, but yeah, sure. His claim to fame was because he played that role of the Beast in the TV show Beauty and the Beast.
That's right. Well,
And
Linda Hamilton. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, and apparently it was a very popular show.
I saw some of it. Yeah,
Yeah, I
saw
used to
some of it.
watch it when I was younger. It was when it was on, a couple episodes here and there. Um, Beauty and the Beast. That's some interesting stories, you know. Um, but yeah, it was yeah, Spencer for Hire, yeah, with Avery Brooks. Yep.
Heard of that, but I
Yeah,
haven't seen
Avery
it.
Brooks played Hawk, which was a great character. Uh, they tried to bring Spencer for Hire back with a couple of different actors. It just wasn't really the same. It wasn't really the same. I just rewatched Beauty and the Beast and it was awful. It got worse. Wait, Papa, that show sucked. Okay, all right.
I don't remember much
It's
of it,
been
really, to be
forever.
honest.
It's been several decades since I've seen it, so it
Oh,
probably
there was one that I saw in I think it was the 90s, possibly. There's Hard Times on Planet Earth.
I've
It's
not heard of that.
about an alien that gets banished. It's got Martin Cove from Cobra Kai.
Hmm.
He's like the main star on it. I saw a little bit of that. Did you ever see The Highwayman with Sam Jones?
No, but I've heard about it. I've heard of it.
He had like a helicopter that came out of his truck. It's kind of cool.
Nice. No, I
And that
never
had
I never saw that
Jane
one.
Badler from V. Played Diana in V.
Oh,
She was
cool.
in
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lizard lady. Yeah, I think watched Beauty and the Beast with his Hey, I didn't that thing come out in the freaking 80s? I don't remember. That's the last time I ever
80s or
saw it.
early 90s.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, that's right. He is. Tuvok is in the
Yeah.
Highwayman. I remember seeing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Cam, His Powers is a classic. Can't go wrong. And Space Herpes. Hey, you still got a link? Use the link, Cam, if you can. If you come in, use the link. Do it. uh, Cam, yeah, come on in, man. So yeah, hello. Everybody's saying hello to Cam.
Hello,
Uh,
Cam. Sorry, I forgot to do that.
Cam. Yep. And I have got the Highwayman. The guy who plays Tuvok is in it.
Yeah, Tim Russ.
Let's
I
just
remember.
Tim Russ. Yeah,
Yeah,
Tim
I remember
Russ.
seeing that in
Yeah.
the intro because I watched the intro on YouTube a wee while
Oh,
ago.
here we go. Even the new Beauty and the Beast with the Harry Potter girl was horrible.
Haven't
Yeah,
seen
I
it.
never watched that movie. I never
I haven't
watched that
even seen
movie.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, I have
Technically.
watched that Beauty and the Beast. That was the first. I think that was the first live action adaptation of a Disney cartoon outside of Jungle Book. But when they did the new ones, of course, they turned it into live action, and I don't think it did very well. I never watched it. Um, I've not watched
Yeah,
any of
no,
their
it's not been
adaptations. The
released. It's
Highwayman was
not.
very hard to get hold of. It has never been released on DVD. Really?
No, I've never
Oh,
seen it available on DVD. Otherwise,
wow.
it'd be right over there next to War of the Worlds and all
Yeah.
that.
Jump on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hang on a
Yep.
second. I'll be right back. Hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my foot.
Oh man, that would be an interesting one to get on DVD. The Highwaymen, if it was ever available. I've heard of the show. I've not ever seen it, obviously, at all. So, but yeah, Cam, use the link, buddy. If you can, I can understand. I mean, if you're doing something or something happened, you know, Cam. So, hope things are well with you, Cam. We might be wrapping it up here in about another 10 minutes or so. Man, it's 2 hours flew by, but um, yeah, just to recap, what we went through was basically what makes a sci-fi story good. And I think we've had some examples here. Went through some examples of original Star Trek, Star Trek Next Generation, examples of modern Trek, and our own opinions of those. Star Wars, where you have modern Star Wars and the prequels. So we have a lot of that. So, those types of examples going on. Oh, if he washes his hands. Yeah, me too. Don't be touching the keyboard and your headset with dirty hands. Did you wash your hands?
Uh-huh.
Yes. Time Prophet was saying, I hope he washes his hands, LOL.
Yeah.
So
Nope.
Papa Cotton in the chat says Tom Cruise War of the World wasn't that bad. I've not seen it, so I don't know, but I've not heard anything bad about it either. I just know it was
No.
set in modern day. Time Prophet says Cam is a bad golfer. He drives terrible. Let's see here. Papa Cotton. Prefer the 50s War of the Worlds better. Okay.
Same.
Well, yeah,
Same
that's not
here.
a.
Yeah.
That's the only one I've seen.
Yeah, I've got them.
That's the
I've
only
got
one I've
the
seen.
50s one. I've seen them both though.
Getting coffee. Be there in a minute. Okay. Well, we're only going to be on for a little bit longer, but at least we'll get you on for a few more here. We'll kind of do a recap. Oh man, it's 2 hours already. Holy wow. Oh man, what's going on? Time flies.
It does.
Time flew.
Time hit light speed.
Time. Yeah, exactly. Holy smokes. What is that? Get out of there. But Yeah, I've heard that Black Sails series that you're watching there is pretty good.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
yeah.
there's a lot of a little bit of risque stuff going on there, but
Well, I mean, I can forgive some of it. I mean, the reality of the situation was the person in question with the lesbian sort of stuff, works in a bloody brothel, for goodness sake. So
yeah, exactly.
I
Yeah,
can kind of forgive some of that.
yeah, exactly.
So all manner of debauchery, takes place in places like that. So,
Of course it.
um,
Yeah, of course,
you know, but
of
otherwise,
course.
otherwise, I'm really enjoying it. It's been really good and pretty
I
good
can
acting too. So,
I can imagine the for the time that's set in, the time that's set. So the 1600s, early 1700s ish.
mm.
Is that the time frame it's set in?
It's Treasure
Nassau.
Island sort of things. It's well, I mean, the thing is, the at that point in time, Nassau is it's kind of independent, so they do what they want.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what
Mhm.
yeah, I can see you there saying lesbians would be hung. Well, they don't really technically answer to the crown,
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah,
so
they're
they
kind of
so they
independent. It was like
wouldn't.
a pirate haven there.
Yeah, exactly. So they can do
Nassau, the
whatever the hell they
Bahamas,
want.
that area back there. A lot of those places were all established by
But I
pirate groups.
haven't seen. Let's just say, for
So
example, I haven't seen merry old England as of yet, and with lesbians running wild or any of that. So you
yeah,
know,
I can only imagine what the hygiene practices were like.
well, time profit. I'll say this about the show. The show is again quite explicit and
Yeah.
quite violent. I mean, you see a guy getting shot in the face, for goodness sake, and it's
Yeah.
like, and I'm thinking, I don't remember that in Treasure Island. So
Yeah. Exactly.
you see, so yeah,
Right.
it was kind of going on about the same time as Game of Thrones. So they wanted to do the pirate Game of Thrones, basically.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. The pirate version. And
Uh,
yes, I need more drugs. The ones the dog gave me aren't enough. Yep. Upcott in the chat. All pirates would have been hung in that time period. Just say, yeah, but they
and they probably will
absolutely,
eventually. I
they probably, yeah. But that's
I
who
don't know.
founded the Bahamas, basically. Nassau, the Bahamas, Cuba, Jamaica, all that in there was run by, you know. Then they had the pirates off the Ivory Coast too of Africa.
Hmm.
So there were all kinds of them there. Hey, here we go. Cam Cam.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on, gentlemen?
Hey man.
All
How's it
right. How are
going?
you?
Oh, I'm very well, man. How are you guys?
Good.
We're alive,
We're making it. We're making it.
alive and
Yeah,
kicking.
we're alive and
Yes.
kicking.
Yeah. Everything's fine. All is well.
All right. What have you been up to, man?
So- Sometimes that's all you can hope for. Not too much, man. I had a great Thanksgiving with the fam. And yeah, that's about the height of excitement around here. Um, Not much going on. It's December and it's 50 degrees Fahrenheit here and raining, which
No.
is pretty odd.
Nice. Nice. Whereabouts are
Now,
you at anyway? What state are you in?
I'm in New England in
Oh, okay.
Vermont.
All right. Cool,
You
cool.
know, I'm about 6 hours from New York City and about 4 hours from Boston.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah, it's beautiful country, very rural. I live off of dirt roads, and there's horse farms and regular farms. Um,
Right.
we used to be the dairy capital of the U.S.,
Hmm.
but most of the farms have gone the way of the dodo.
Right.
That's a shame.
Hmm.
Well, because milk prices, you just can't get you can't get um, you can't make a living dairy farming anymore.
Yeah,
You know,
unfortunately.
it's so expensive to run the farms, and the milk prices are so low that you can't make a go of it. And a lot of people who, young people who grew up on the farms and would love to take them over, just they can't afford it, so they go into other things, like
Mhm.
they go into IT. You know,
Yeah.
it's the future.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's really beautiful, man. If you ever see, pictures of foliage, they're more than likely, and pictures of red barns, they're more than likely taken in Vermont.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So you guys have been discussing various things this morning. Can you give me a highlight of what you've been talking about? I walked in on space herpes, and I love ice pirates.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
Well,
basically the premise of the stream was that what makes a sci-fi story good. And my conclusion was what makes a sci-fi story good is you don't have identity politics, you don't have current modern politics or social things in it to taint or pollute the story. You keep the story about whatever the event is or things of that nature. You don't put in
look,
the ancillary BS that clouds it, like race swapping or gender swapping or the like, you know.
let me agree with you. All right, this is my idea of the perfect of the perfect. Basically, it's a fairy tale. Okay, you have your protagonist. Let's take, for example, we'll take two examples: Luke Skywalker and the Dread Pirate Roberts from The Princess Bride. Okay,
Hmm.
you've
Hmm.
got your hero, and he's a good guy. He wants to do the right thing. He wants to have adventures. He wants to save the princess. And then you have the princess. And sometimes she's a damsel in distress, but she can also handle herself. She can do things. Women didn't start doing things in the blue-haired era. Women have always done things. Women are strong. They run shit. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? They
Yep.
ran households. They do the, and then you have your nemesis. You have your Darth Vader. You have your I forget the little guy who uh he has uh the giant there to do
Yeah.
his dirty work.
Right.
Andre the Giant, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh
You,
yeah.
Yep.
you have the smarmy guy who has a plan, but he's a weakling, and in Dread Roberts, he's a weakling, so he has Andre the Giant to do his dirty work. And in Star Wars, you have Darth Vader, who doesn't need anyone to do his dirty work. He does his own dirty work.
Yep.
And those are the archetypes of a good fantasy story. You've got your hero who is going on an adventure, and you have your strong female lead without it beating you over the head, and then you have your nemesis who needs to be conquered. And that's all you need. You need three characters and a good story. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I'm still
a good
halfway.
character.
I'm only halfway through my coffee, so I may not be, be totally cogent, but I
Mm,
think that's the basic premise, and from there you can
right.
extrapolate, and it's that simple, Good
Yeah.
people doing good things.
Right. Right. It goes back to what I have here on the screen is just a pre-writing questions. So for any story, who are the characters? Where does the story take place? What is the problems that the characters will face? How do they go about solving those problems? And how does the story end? And who is going to tell the story? So it's kind of like your basic writing stuff. This is kind of more of the same, just a different one that I pulled off of the internet. But it all starts the same, and it begins with the character, but also begins with the world. And I started off the stream. I was reading a message that I'd received from Writing Raven from Gothic Therapy. I don't know if you're aware of them, Cam Cam.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm familiar. Just peripherally. I don't know
Yeah,
them very well, but
they have a
I have
YouTube
heard
channel.
them.
Yeah, they have a YouTube channel, Gothic Therapy, and it's a husband and wife, and she's a professional writer. And I asked her basically a question about our topic, and I said, "What are the basics of writing or creating a good story, specifically sci-fi stories, and in any form?" She eventually got back to me, and she said, I would say setting out a standard set of rules for how the universe you're writing is supposed to work. From there, develop a character living in that universe with those rules in place. What are the limits, the pros and the cons? Does the protagonist want to achieve that might not be possible because of those rules? It sounds complicated, but the world building is definitely fundamental. So you have
Uh,
the world
can I
of
interject? Can I
yeah, go ahead.
interject?
Yeah,
Much like Robert Meyer Burnett. Are you guys familiar with Robert
yeah,
Meyer Burnett?
yeah. I've seen
Uh,
his
Hello.
stuff.
and he talks about verisimilitude
Mhm.
within the world that you create. You have to have rules, and you have to follow those rules. And in
Yeah.
order to make sense, it has to have an internal logic in order for you to understand what can and cannot be done.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yep. 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 That's kind of what she was saying. It's the world building, and you got to operate inside those rules. You know, and then, but here's an example of something that doesn't operate inside the rules. You
Oh
have
shit.
yeah, okay. Rise of Skywalker versus Episode One, Phantom Menace. So what's the difference between the two? And I've just pulled this out as an example because Episode One was derided by people in the beginning, but once this current sequel of these prequels came out, or the sequels trilogy came out, that makes these three prequels look like Shakespeare, and so
What is the difference between those two movies? Well,
yeah, I mean,
I've seen
you've
episode
got
one, The Phantom
yeah,
Menace, repeatedly at the cinema.
yeah,
I haven't even seen Rise of Skywalker at all. That
you're
would be a difference.
uh, Tim's talks in
Oh,
the
Well,
chat. Hey, Tim, how's it going? Everybody
hey
says, "Hey
Tim,
Tim, hey Tim, hey Tim, hipster prophet, hail."
and you're right. Like the prequels have aged, not the CGI, but
mm,
the
mm,
story itself is Shakespeare compared to the rise of Skywalker. The Force Awakens. All that is just crap. They break their own rules. Um, they don't have they don't have a coherent story because they had no plan. You know what I mean? Like J.J. Abrams even said, "Oh, we just wung it." You know,
Yeah,
they
exactly.
didn't have a plan.
How'd that go again?
What was that?
I'm saying, how did
Oh,
that go again? The no plan thing.
The no plan? Yeah.
Yeah, how did that go?
That went. Went.
It
Yeah.
went.
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
and the other thing is that uh, by having three different, JJ did the first one, Ryan Johnson, that asshole, did the second one, and he didn't have any idea what he was doing. He didn't know where he was going, and then you had JJ come in and try to fix everything, but he has no creative ability.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think he ended up making it worse as a result, didn't he?
Yeah, I think you did.
Oh yeah,
In my
Well, he must
opinion.
have done because I haven't seen the film yet.
Everybody that
you know,
I've listened to that's watched the movie from end to end and watched them all, they kind of have an opinion where he tried to come in and try to fix it, but what he tried to how he tried to fix it made it worse.
Mm.
So
Sounds like a good plan.
yeah,
right. Uh, uh, how can you have con, a concise and cogent story when you have three different people or two different people, but they're trying to fix everyone's mistakes as they go along, and then they didn't have an ending. And so that's why you get, yeah, the emperor, he's still alive, and
Yes, I am back.
yeah,
right,
exactly.
and the only reason that they brought him in is because they had nowhere else to go.
No, exactly. I mean, I've seen the Palpatine clips, and I have to say, I love Palpatine. I love Palpy, but
Yeah,
it's just like what?
yeah,
What's
exactly.
this?
It's like the Time Prophet says he tried to fix a big hole with chewing gum and a bicycle pump, and the hole was too big. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Sometimes that happens.
Exactly. Exactly.
100%,
Yeah.
100% time profit.
Rogue One.
Rogue
Yeah, that
One
was good.
has been the only good Star Wars film that's been good in the last decade plus.
I
In
agree.
my
I
opinion.
liked it.
Yeah, I mean, it was okay. I watched it simply because it had Forrest Whitaker and Donnie Yen in it. That's the
Donnie
only reason
Yen,
why I
yeah.
watched it. Uh,
Who wasn't a Jedi?
yeah, exactly.
If Donnie Yen was a Jedi, he would have broke the movie. That's the problem.
But he's such a great actor, and he was
Exactly.
so underused in that movie. Like he could
Uh,
have been a
yeah,
great character,
Yeah.
yeah.
and they sidelined him, and they didn't give him a chance to be a hero
What,
because he was a hero.
what the hell is this?
And
Yeah, exactly. He was. We got some propaganda in here by Willie. He says, "You guys don't know a great movie series. The new Star Wars makes the original look like Monty Python. Splitter, splitter."
What was it? We were speaking of,
Splitter.
we were speaking about Spaceballs earlier. That's a
Yeah.
better Star Wars. That's a better Star Wars movie than all the bloody new sequel films.
Yes.
oh
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's a
uh,
joke. That's a
Oh
joke, but
God.
it's true.
Wait. Hang on a second. Wait, where are we at here? People are just jumping all over the place. Now we're getting good. The sequel trilogy sucks ass and completely destroy the canon. Yes, exactly. Oh, wait a
it's-
minute. He's just, yeah. Is what?
spe-
Willie says, once females took over, it made Star Wars better. Girl power needs to be in more Star Trek. I can name a few movies that went completely into the toilet that were like all female centric.
Well,
Charlie's Angels is one of them, and the other one is
oh,
the-
oh God.
and was it the frickin' Harley Quinn movie?
I haven't seen that, but they killed the female Pirates of the Caribbean, didn't they?
Yeah, they got rid of that. They tanked it because
Yeah.
they're still trying to get Johnny Depp to come back. I don't think he is.
Yeah.
No. Oh my God.
Well, and they should bring him back, man. He
Well,
was.
they're trying, but it's they basically they stabbed him in the back when all that Amber Heard
That
news came
stuff.
out. They stabbed him in the back. A lot of studios did, and come to find out that he was right and she was the bad guy. And you know, I don't blame him for saying no. I'm going to stick with people who stuck by me. Screw
Yeah.
you.
It would be a bit of a,
They're going to have to throw a boatload of money at him
yeah.
to
It would
even
be-
make him think about coming back to do that.
It-
Of course,
it
you'd
would-
like to do the role, but you know,
Yeah. It would be a bit of a sellout in some ways, but
yeah, exactly,
you can't blame him for taking them for everything they've got since they stuck it in him in
exactly,
the end there. So,
exactly.
you know, I
Time
can see that
Prophet
both
says,
ways.
Time Prophet says, I won't rewatch the prequel series, the prequel or the sequel trilogy. Okay, you're a fundamentalist.
That's your opinion.
Quicksand
You're
that
entitled to it.
emptied out into a cave. Yeah, okay. Off the cotton. Monty Python was excellent though, so that defeats Final 13.
I mean,
Uh,
if you think about it, Spaceballs is more canon than the sequel trilogy.
oh
I
yeah.
You know?
Man. Oh, Willie here. He's pressing hard. Charlie's Angels new movie makes John Wick look like child's movie.
I haven't seen the third John Wick yet.
Oh my God.
You gotta see John Wick. Every John Wick movie has
seen
been
two.
better than the last one.
Well,
I saw the trailer for the fourth one. That looks good.
yeah, this one coming out has Donnie Yen in it.
Yeah, exactly. I was waiting to say.
And so, yeah, there's some interesting stuff going on there. Yeah, this is Willie also says that Amber Heard is innocent. Yeah. Wait, who is Amber
Who is
Heard?
Amber Yeah, I forget who that is.
Wait, I want to make toe rings for Brie Larson. That's classic. Yeah. Oh my God.
Well, and the worst part of the sequels is, all right. So, how does someone pass a lightsaber through the Force and give it to her so she can be the hero?
Reasons.
Does that make sense?
No.
Reasons. That's all you need to know.
Yeah,
Reasons.
reasons.
Bestest ever.
Exactly.
Right. You know, suddenly, Kylo Ren, you know, makes a complete 180
Kylie.
after
Does, yeah. I heard that.
after killing his father. Then he kills his mother,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden he's a super good guy, and he falls in love with his nemesis and decides that he's going to make her the he makes her into the bestest ever.
I know, right?
Is that what
You
actually
know,
happens?
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
That sounds worse now that you say it. I don't think I want. I don't think I want to see this stink pile for free now.
I mean,
Oh,
it's just like everything I've heard about Indy 5, the
Oh,
same thing. You know, all of a
it was.
sudden they're gonna erase everything that you've ever learned about Indiana Jones. You know, and all of a sudden now they're gonna erase him from history, and
Yes.
she's going to be the bestest ever. She gets the whip, she gets the hat, and
mhm.
Indy
That's,
no longer exists.
that's
How
the
can that
rumor.
happen?
That's the
They-
Yeah,
rumors, wasn't it?
exactly.
they're destroying all of our heroes. Every
Yeah.
Right.
every hero has to be a bad person. You know what I mean? Or they're dumb, or you know they've made mistakes and they're no longer the best at
Or,
everything.
or the bad guys aren't really that bad. They're just misunderstood.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, you get some that are like that, but some people are just bad.
Right. And why can't people just be bad? You know what I mean? Everything has to have a redemption story.
Hmm.
You can't just you can't just have a bad guy anymore.
Right. Yeah,
Hmm.
You know
exactly.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
the
that's
bad guy can't be the bad guy. He's got to be some sort of wishy-washy whatever, you know.
right.
I mean,
He has to have a redemption story. You know, he can't just be a bad guy. He can't just be what he is.
mhm,
You know, he's got to be. In the end, he has to have a redemption arc, and he can't just be a bad guy. And the that makes no sense.
no, it doesn't. But
Again,
that's what we're
it
getting.
depends. It depends on the
That's what we're
story,
getting.
doesn't it? It depends on the story, of course, as
It
well.
depends
But
on the story and how twisted that these studios can make them. But like I said,
yeah.
especially from current IPs, they want to twist everything around. They want to
Hmm.
race swap or gender swap. They want to uh, do something, put somebody in a role or a position as a character that was never meant to be that person. You know, was never meant to be, wasn't a female centric role. Well, let's put a female in that role. Like I told you earlier, like I mentioned earlier, there was an episode of Bill Maher, and it's been quoted on
Yeah.
Twitter quite a bit, but I'm going to paraphrase it here. But apparently, I don't really agree with a lot of what Bill Maher says, but
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
do agree with this. And he said that woke Hollywood is taking characters, movies, places, and events, and they're twisting them around to make nonsense because there was a movie that came out, and he referenced the name of the movie. For the life of me, I cannot remember it, but it has something to do with hot air balloons and making a transit, like like a transatlantic, whatever, right?
Right.
Across or across the ocean or around the world. But it was a hot air balloon, and it was done by two men. Well, they made it into a movie, and they purposely swapped one of the people for a female. So Bill Maher's take was that here we have woke Hollywood uh, replacing, putting in a woman to give a woman credit for something a woman never did.
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
and it's the stupidest stuff like that that makes you start thinking. It's just like when people were complaining about the movie Dunkirk.
All right.
It's a World War I movie from about the British
I
in
haven't
World
seen
War
that. I
One,
haven't seen. Is it any
and they
good?
were bitching about there wasn't enough diversity in it. Are you
Well,
kidding me?
Actually, Dunkirk it is a great movie,
Seen it.
but it was actually World War II,
Oh, I thought it was
and
World War One. I'm sorry.
it's World War II, and what happened was is that the Germans had defeated the British, and the British were forced to retreat, and the only place that they could go to was Dunkirk. And what happened was is that they didn't have enough ships to take everyone off. So everyone in Britain boat, like fishing boats, whatever, sailboats, they all teamed up together and they all crossed the North Atlantic there, and they took people off, and they ferried them back and forth and back and forth, and these guys were heroes, you know. They saved the British Army because the British Army would have been wiped out, and if it wasn't for the cooperation between everyone in Britain who had a boat, they teamed up and worked in unison to save the British Army, and that's why they were able to fight on.
Yeah. Yeah. But
So it's a
I
good
remember
film
when
then.
they.
It's a good film.
Yeah, from what I hear, I've not seen it.
I haven't seen it. No.
I've seen clips of it, but
I haven't seen. I haven't seen the new one, but there's an earlier version.
Oh.
And it has a lot of stars in it.
I thought you were on about
Richard Burton is in it.
Oh, wow.
Richard Burton is in it, and it really shows how like they were getting the shit knocked out of them. They were being bombed. They were being attacked by machine gunners, and these people risked their lives even though they weren't part of the military, but they worked together in unison to save their fellow countrymen because they galvanized like the whole situation galvanized the British populace to fight on.
Right.
Because they realized that the only way that they could defeat the Germans was to cooperate and do anything that they could to preserve their fighting force. And then they regrouped and then fought on.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And
my Lord, Mr. Brown.
But the modern critics want to, they want to trash it because there wasn't enough diversity, equity, inclusion in it. Yeah, give me a break.
And like I said before we came on, because we were speaking about this before we came on, I can't wait for the black transsexual William Wallace.
Well, here's what Abby's someone in the
totally
chat.
historically accurate.
Abby's someone in the chat's talking with Time Prophet. He says, I want to see Tango and Cash 2 with Wookiee Fever Presents and File 13. There we go. There's a movie. There's a movie for you right
Tango
there.
And Cash. There you go.
And then the response by Time Prophet is, yeah, that would work.
Yeah, right.
So Time Prophet also says he wants to see Crual Birab learn how to play the drums. Abby, someone says bongos.
I can certainly thump things, but that's about
also, Time Prop in the chat says that Papa Cotton.
Oh, I heard about
They
that.
did
Yeah.
race swap Bamboo Lynn, and it was
Yeah,
on
yeah,
Channel
yeah.
4, and nobody watched it. Yeah, no kidding. I heard about
Golly,
that.
what a shock!
Yeah.
Oh my!
Yes, Dunkirk should have William Shatner in it.
Oh.
File 13
Well,
says the way I select my movies is this way. If the man is the star, pretend he's always the supporting character. I'm glad I don't have to be much anymore to do that much anymore. Oh shit.
well, well, look at all the movies. All right, James Bond. All right,
Yeah.
they sideline James Bond in order to make the woman the hero, and James Bond is an afterthought in his own movie.
Is that the most recent film? I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's garbage.
Ah,
They,
that's a
they,
shock.
they kill off James Bond.
Yeah.
How can you have
They're casting for another one.
I know.
He's
It's
there.
freaking nuts. Yeah,
He's
Mr. Brown.
dead,
Hi,
boy.
Mr. Brown. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for coming by. I really appreciate it.
Monsieur Brown. Sorry,
Monsieur
I was just
Brown.
Sorry, I was just thinking of a James Bond there. Bonjour, Monsieur Brown.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Brown.
Yeah, what do we got here? Because Mr. Brown Alliance Wookie stole your horrible green background color earlier. But I didn't tell you. Yeah. Another hello, Mr. Brown. Hey, peeps. What a great decision. Move over 007. We have girl power. Yeah. There we go. Cam could play James Bond. I hear Bond always crashes his cars. Also, Cam was a soldier, so he probably has a room full of guns. Probably. You never know. Who knows?
Both of those things are true.
File 13 says, I got like 10 minutes. I have a rant. Send my link. Yeah, shit. Mr. Brown, thank you for coming by. Again, I really appreciate you coming by. Yeah. Are you streaming tonight? Oh, I think he's streaming tonight, isn't he? Or is it tomorrow?
Usually he does a Sunday review.
Yeah. Sometimes he's been on Saturday nights, but I know he does the Sunday thing.
And I'd like to say congratulations to Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown has really exploded. He has. And part of it is he assembles a great panel, and
he does.
And I can't say enough about Mr. Brown. He's a really good bloke. And he has a great show. He has great panelists. He lets everyone give their opinion, and he's funny as hell. The whole stream is funny as hell. And I'd also like to shout out Ian David Diaz, the Mega Geek.
Yep.
He has a great series called Rebecca Gold, and he has just gotten a new a second season, and everyone should check out his Rebecca Gold series.
Is the second season finished? Is it finished? Is he finished making it?
My understanding is that he has started it, and there are new episodes coming out.
Nice.
And he's not quite finished. I don't think he's got more series coming. More episodes coming.
Still filming.
But if you want to see something good.
Watch at least the first year. Watch the first one if you haven't seen it. It's good.
Yeah, that one movie that he came out with years ago ended up on Netflix or something. Freaking awesome movie. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I haven't seen that. I don't have Netflix, so I haven't seen that.
The name escapes me right now, but it was a freaking awesome movie.
Yeah, Mr. Brown probably knows the name of it, but yeah, he managed to get it on Netflix,
Yeah,
which is fabulous. You know what I
yes,
mean?
it
Like
is.
how many creators that we know get to be
I,
on Netflix
I've
because their
always,
stuff is
I've
so
always
good.
wanted to, I've always wanted to have Ian on a stream where we could talk about a real cheesy 1970s movie and just have a laugh because I know he's a serious guy about his craft, but there's some cheesy movies that actually have good bits to it.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if
So,
he would. I didn't. I'm hoping that he would ever consider if I asked him, but I don't know. I mean, I like his opinion. I like his takes, and he's definitely an asset on Mr. Brown's channel, and Mr. Brown is a big asset to a lot of people,
Yeah,
and that's why he's exploding because he brings on, like you said, he has a great lineup of guests. They interchange very well. I mean, there's some very witty, smart conversation, and also some fun laughs. So, he's got a great channel there, like I said, and great guests, just like you pointed out. Um, I think and now he's got a heavyweight in there. He's got Lost Chord, Little Platoon.
yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
oh
guy's
yeah.
that guy's burning up YouTube like it's on fire.
Oh yeah, Little Platoon,
Mhm.
great show. He has
Oh,
some
I love
great
watching that
takes.
stuff.
He
Yeah.
breaks it down and gives you an insight into what actually makes things good. You know what I mean? And
I just
why
love
things
listening
are
to his
bad.
stuff. I know a lot of his reviews and stuff are like an hour long. There's some that were even 2 hours. I forgot. I think it was the Lord the the BS Lord of the Rings. He did
Yeah,
like almost a 2 hour review on that. And
it was long.
every freaking minute of it was great. I sat there through the whole thing. It was awesome and wanted to watch it again because it was just that good. So that guy's got a freaking Mount Rushmore sized talent and just unbelievable. But to have a guy like that, to sprout like exponentially, and Brown has some credit for that, having him on. And Brown's channel is just going nuts. And great job for Mr. Brown. I'm happy for him. His success. He keeps going. Like I said, he brings up great. He has great guests, and with the lineup of guests he's got, I mean, he's bound to, you know, continually heading up the ladder. There's just no stopping him or his channel or his guests for that matter. You know.
Right, right, and he's really promoted a lot of good people that
Yeah.
maybe most people haven't heard of, and then they appear on Mr. Brown, and he, puts them out there, and they grow exponentially.
Yes.
And another person that he has on, um, uh, the guy Matt, and he
Matt,
goes
is it
by
Matt Cat or is it Matt Katz?
Matt Cat is good, but Matt Demon Scythe
Oh, Swap
Oh,
Shop.
swappers. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Swap Shop.
Swapper.
Yeah.
Yeah, Swap Shop. Demon Scythe, Demon Scythe Synthwave is,
Yes.
is
He's
another one of his names.
Yeah.
Now that guy is writing a Star Wars book,
Oh,
and
cool.
if you've ever heard, he reads some excerpts every once in a while on Mr. Brown's channel,
yeah.
and
He,
he writes Star Wars 10 times, 100 times better than anything that we've ever seen from any of these idiots like Ryan Johnson or J.J. Abrams. He actually, his stories make sense. They're
Mhm.
full of action. They have a coherent storyline, and they're just beautifully written.
Hmm. And that's what we need. That's what we need. We need.
I've heard him talk about his stories
Yeah.
and read
But
some of
we
them.
need stuff like that. We need more people like him bringing out stuff, putting good
Right.
stuff out there. I mean, look at the success of Young Ripa and his comic book that he came out with. And it's growing exponentially, and all the different things that he's doing based on that success, because it was word of mouth and knowing, because he set the parameters for what his stuff was going to be about, and
Well,
he set the parameters on the lore, the basics, but also respecting the fans and customer service. And
Imagine that.
Yeah.
And to customer service, okay. Young Ripa, who does ISOM, like instead of people like, I'm still waiting on a book called Mavericks. I've been waiting over a year for this book to come out.
Mhm.
And it's a great looking book, and I joined their Indiegogo, and I still don't have my freaking book. Okay, and it's over a year later. Now, what Ripa did was he got the story done, he got the art done, he financed it all himself, and when it came time to bring it out, you didn't have to wait around.
Yeah.
He had it ready to go.
Yeah, didn't he refinance his house or take a second mortgage or something out on his house?
Oh
to
yeah,
finance that.
he totally. He used all of his own money,
Yeah.
and because he wanted a finished product, so that
Absolutely.
when you ordered it, you didn't have to wait around for a freaking year. He had it ready to go. And that's part of what you need to do, because people want their product. If you pay your money, you want your product. You don't want to have to wait around forever.
No.
And he's not only putting out, shipping his first volume, but he's already started working on the second one. So he's going to be able to, produce a second book within a timely manner. Like, you're going to get your first book, and then 4 months later, you're going to get your second book. And by the time you get your second book, he's going to already have the third book almost done. Right. And that's the way you do things. And he put himself on the line. He remortgaged his house. He set up the infrastructure and invested all the money into production. And that's the way you do it. You put, if you really believe in something and you think you got what it takes, you commit, and that's the problem with a lot of these people. Oh, I have an idea. Oh, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna start a Kickstarter, and you'll get your book when it's done. And instead, this guy, he went out and said, "Hey, I'm gonna invest all my money. I believe in this. I'm gonna put it out." And he thought he would only make 250 grand was his goal. Yeah. The guy is over 300 or over 3 million, and close to $4 million. And he has invested every penny back into his business. He had part-time workers. He hired them on as full-time, and now he has a dedicated team, and they're just pumping it out. Yes. Not pumping it out because it's not up to par. They're pumping it out because they have the infrastructure to make it happen.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's super impressive. There, you can't say enough about that guy. He really just is a very good businessman. He knows what the people like. He's always been a fan, and he has created he has spent so much time world building
Mhm.
and putting things together that you can't touch him.
Yeah.
He's probably putting out the best book out there. He's blowing DC and Marvel out of the water.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know. He's giving the people a good product and a quality product and good service, and that's important. Today's age.
That
Right now,
seems
they're
to be
not
something that's
treating them like
forgotten.
children. He's not treating them like children and leading them on. He's actually,
Well,
he's putting up, he's putting up the beef, and you were seeing that now.
well,
Um,
it's old school.
yeah, it is.
He's catering to the customer,
Yes,
and it
it is.
used to be the customer was king,
Yeah,
and in order to please your customer, you have to give them a product that they enjoy, and you have to give it to them in a timely manner.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Not wait a year to get your frickin' book.
I think it was when
That's
I
one of the things that prevents me from doing any kind of buying into an Indiegogo or a Kickstarter is just that. I got to wait a frickin' year,
Mm.
to get the book and all the goodies, or I'm gonna send you, you know, couple $100 to get me a handful of copies of the book and whatever kind of freebies or added extras, whatever the extras are. But I got to wait a year and a half.
Well, and
Not a
that's
good
my
investment.
problem with this Mavericks book. This
Yeah.
Mavericks book looks the art's amazing. It has a great story.
Mhm.
They've got lots of extras. Different. What's the word I'm looking for? Different bonuses. For when they meet their goals. But
Mhm.
if it takes a year to get out, I've forgotten about it sometimes. And then
Yeah.
every once in a while, I get an update saying, "Oh, we're almost there, blah, blah, blah." Well, hey, I don't care if you're almost there. I don't care about the tchotchkes. Give me a book
Yeah.
that I can
Exactly.
enjoy.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know?
Yep. Well, I will say this, just wrapping up, because I think Mr. Brown is no longer in the chats. But I want to say that Mr. Brown puts out a good product on his channel. He does have a lot of great guests, but he definitely organizes things in a way that speeds up time, keeps the conversation moving, is very on topic, and again has a load of great guests. His subject matter is spot on with you know with a lot of it's interesting to a lot of people, and just a great channel there with him, and I wish him all the success. I just wish I could rub his shoulder and get some of that success. you know but
Well, and I'd also like to say, hey, Wookie man, I think you do a great show. Crual is always a great guest. Always has
oh
great comments and insights. Um, and you have a great chat. Time Prophet is always here.
Yeah.
Abby Someone is always here. I try to make it whenever I can, and I think that you do a great job, and I see you, um, with Willie P and the different people that you have on. I see you going places myself, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you. It really means a lot. Yeah, I try. Sometimes we get a little bit off the rails, but it's all in good. It's all in good fun, though. You know.
No,
Sometimes we go a little bit off the rails, and there's
We
a couple
do.
of times we've gone right off the
A
rails.
little. You know what's funny is one of the best streams. One of the best streams I had.
It's that
It
one,
got
isn't it?
got taken down. Remember
It's
the
that one.
lost stream was one of the
oh, the
best.
one over.
The one
No,
the
no,
one where
no,
the guys got hit by the cars in Brazil.
yeah,
That was
a
the
great
best.
one.
And they freaking took it down because I had to, we were just showing someone else's YouTube channel is what it was. It was just a
Right.
screenshot of another YouTube channel, not a screenshot, but a window
Footage.
capture
Yeah.
of their YouTube channel. And their YouTube channel was never taken down. They were never
Right,
cited or
but
anything like
it
that.
was.
Well, yeah, the video, that whole stream got 86th. And I'm like,
Mhm.
Ridiculous.
bastards.
And
But it was the
and
best one. It was the best. We had before it got taken down, we had almost 30 views.
We were
right,
talking.
because it was great.
It got
Before
taken
that-
down maybe about an hour after we ended the stream.
Before
Well,
that, we were talking all manner of crap. And,
Oh
and,
yeah.
And when we think about it, it's just like that could have got us taken down, but no,
No, it was that.
it wasn't that.
It was that. So
It was
and
the
I got
pipes
a
and
and I
the,
got
and the
a
cars.
community guideline warning about
No, Jesus.
but
Well,
that's fine. I don't care.
Another great guest is Gobby Guy. Gobby Guy. Sometimes he goes off the rails, and I'd like to say that sometimes when we go off the rails, those are some of the best. Those are some of the best streams
Oh,
because
I tell you what.
the laughs are nonstop.
I'll tell you what, yeah, Gobby Guy, Dean is just awesome. He's a fun guy. Loves his sci-fi, loves his Doctor Who with a passion.
Yeah,
I always watch his videos when I get a chance, and I always try to leave comments when I have a chance. Yeah, he's just awesome, full of a lot of knowledge. He and I are only 2 months apart in age, and so we kind of grew up in the same genres, with Star Wars, Star Trek, and other franchises. So, we
Me
kind of
too.
we kind of enjoy and love the same types of things, and some of the things. And of course, we have different diverging lives, but all in all, what brings us together is our love of Star Trek or Doctor Who or Star Wars or other, fantasy things or just life in general. Some of the things that we agree with, as a whole. But yeah, he's awesome. I love all my guests.
We all have different lives, but what brings us together is our love of these properties.
Exactly.
And we can form a common ground where we can discuss these things, and sometimes the conversation can become heated, but they're never arguments. They're discussions about details.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, let's put it this way. Regardless of what we might be talking about, if we have differences, we can still act like adults and not cry on Twitter all day and try to cancel people.
Exactly. And that's what's missing in society is people are no longer adults. People can no longer agree to disagree. No one can have a discussion without it turning into an argument.
Yeah, exactly.
And it becomes us versus them when it should be we love these things, we can discuss them and break them down, but in the end we're all adults. We should all be able to agree that we love these things, and the nitpicking is just that it's nitpicking. It doesn't diminish our love of the property.
No. And in the end, there are still really only
Yeah.
6 Star Wars films.
Yes, that's right.
Some people think there's only 3, but
I'll
that's
tell
fine.
you what. I tell you what. I really enjoy having everybody. I'm really missing Willie. I know he's in the chats. I know he was doing stuff today, so he couldn't be on. But I really miss Willie. I enjoy having him on. He's a guy like yourself, Cam. He served in the military, saw a lot of shit, and is just trying to get on with his life, and he's doing some awesome stuff. He has got a family. He lives actually he's only about 3 hours away from me in northern Arizona. But he's doing some great stuff for his family and trying to build his channel because he's got a channel, File 13. He does gaming and other stuff there. So, I like having him on because his perspective is completely different from mine, and he can be funnier than hell. For a guy
Oh,
who used to do some serious shit and killing people and breaking things, he's got an awesome sense of humor, and I always like having him on. And
definitely. Willie is a great guy. He like you said, he's seen some shit, and
yeah,
he has adjusted very well. He's a super funny guy, and
oh, he is.
what I like about him is he's teaching his kids the right way. He's
Yeah,
imparting his knowledge and love of the things that we loved to a new generation. And
Yeah.
that's
yeah,
what's missing in this world. People don't impart uh, the lessons that we've learned to a new generation,
Hmm.
if that makes
yeah,
sense.
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And everybody has different roads that they've traveled through their life, but you have those commonalities like just basic human decency and you know your journey for escapism,
Yeah.
and it falls into the different franchises and things like that. And I really appreciate having Cruel on because he brings a fresh perspective that, because he's seen a lot more movies than me. He owns a lot more movies than I do, but we still love Star Wars. We still love Star Trek. We like
Yeah.
Doctor Who. We have our own bits of toys of action figures from when we were kids. So,
Yeah. We've had a bit of
there's
show and
that
tell
stuff.
there.
Yeah, we did some show and tells, Cam. It was
Got
pretty
my
fun
Darth
stuff.
Vader over there. You can
Yeah,
just see
you
him.
got your Darth Vader. I got all my lunch boxes and my Lando Calrissian action figures. So
Here, would you guys mind if I did a little a quick tour of a few things that that I have? I'm going to turn on my camera real
yeah,
quick,
sure.
and
Sure, man, sure.
I'll give you guys a little taste of where my head's at.
No, yeah, cool. Go ahead.
You
Go
mean your
right
head's not
ahead.
on your shoulders?
Yeah.
Can you
Oh,
see
look at
that?
that helmet.
Oh wow!
Hang on a second. Let me do
Is
this real
that
quick.
Is that Luke's?
Hold,
Is it? And that's Darth
hold that
Vader.
thought. Hold
Yeah,
there
that's
we
red.
go.
That's red 5.
Nice.
Hey, nice. I like it.
Red 5. Nice. I love that.
Vader. This
Nice.
is Vader.
And then
Nice.
here's some Doctor Who. I've got
Nice.
I've got all the sonic screwdrivers,
Oh, cool.
Nice.
That's awesome, man.
and then
Oh,
I
bobbleheads.
am a pop guy,
Nice, dude. Nice.
curator. I got my
Nice.
fans.
Oh,
I got
Nice.
Batman. I got my Marty,
Nice.
and I got my Superman with the Superman cover.
Nice.
cool.
I'm a big Viking guy. I've got my Freyas.
Nice.
Uh,
There's a
I've
strong female character.
Cool. Wow.
Uh, I've got my Valkyries. I got my Frigga. I got my
Nice.
Odin.
Nice.
And then I've got my Titans of all the good doctors, except for Tom.
Mhm.
And then these are my Eagle Moss. Can you see my Eagle Moss?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
look at them all. A War Doctor. I got my Tom. I got my Pertwee. I've got number one, Mr. Hartnell,
Mhm.
Mr.
Wow.
Troughton, Pertwee.
Mhm.
I've got my Tom. I got my Canine. I got my War Doctor. I got my Colin Baker. And I've got my David Tennant.
Yep. Nice.
And then, all right, I've got, you see my Captain Kirk.
Oh,
Nice.
wow. That's
With
canon as well.
Han!
and I've got,
Oh.
You got your old con up there too. Cool.
oh yeah. And then, if I can get this open.
Those look like Mego dolls of Kirk and Khan. Is that right?
Yeah, these are my Migos.
Nice. Oh,
You've
you got that.
Is that the Gorn? And you've
Yeah,
got
you got it going. Nice communicator, man.
Yay.
Yeah. I've actually got two of those. I got my Delgado.
Nice. Your dog got
And-
nice, master.
And I've got his TARDIS.
Oh
you
yeah,
see
that's
the
right.
clock?
There's the clock. Yeah.
And then I've got two Troughtons back there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got my Tom whatchamacallit, my Christmas ornament, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got, see my War Doctor inside the TARDIS.
Nice.
And then I've got my, oh shit. This is the War Doctor's sonic screwdriver, if I can make it work. And then this is my
Ooh.
you see that's Decker's blaster.
What's a way to say? Aye.
I got that. I got that from Lithuania.
Nice.
And it closes up and it works and everything. And then I've got my Deckard, my Rachel. I've got my Blade Runners.
Nice.
And then
Very good.
I've got my History of the Daleks. I got my
Nice.
companion set. And of course, I got my Captain Jack.
Yep. Captain Jack.
I got two Captain Jacks.
Nice.
And then my Moon Knight. And then over here, can you see those?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've got Troughton with his TARDIS.
Nice.
I've got Peter Davison with his TARDIS.
Nice.
Very
I've got my my Indiana Jones hat.
I was going to
Nice.
say.
I've got oh man, and then can you see the giant robot with
Yeah.
Tom? And
Yeah.
I've got all the books,
Mm-hmm.
and there's my Capaldi, and then I've got Batman.
Nice.
Oh, excellent.
I've got, oh man, I've got my
Ooh.
Back to the Future Lego Playmobil, or not Playmobil, but and then Piece de Resistance.
Okay, go on then. Go on then.
Can you see my Batman?
Oh,
Ooh.
nice. Is that Mego?
Do, 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 do,
Uh,
Mego, Batman and Robin in that?
This is DC, and it comes with the characters,
Nice.
and I've got another Batman down here
Nice.
with another one, and they're all die cast, and then
Yeah.
I've got one more thing I'd like to show. I'm gonna sit the phone down real quick. You're gonna love this.
Okay.
Can you see that?
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah. Nice.
That's the giant Indiana Jones.
Nice. That is
Man.
awesome.
Oh man. One day I'm gonna have all this set up.
There you go. Hey, you know that Z3PO is a big bobblehead collector? He's a big pop collector.
Nice.
Z is.
I've actually I've got quite a few bobbleheads too, and I'll show you one more thing. Sorry.
No problem.
Can you see all that?
Hang on. Let's blow it up. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, you have a few.
One or two.
Yeah. Nice.
And these are almost all Americans except for the Good Omens. But I've got Lemmy, James Brown, Frank
Nice.
Zappa, Willie Nelson, Freddie Mercury.
Nice.
I've got Elvis and
Beatles.
Johnny Cash. Oh
Nice.
man.
Nice, man. Very nice.
Oh yeah. I got a sickness.
I'm not an expert, but it seems to me like you've got a few things.
Yeah, man. One day I'll have a whole room, and it'll just be it'll rival PJ Maybes.
Oh
Nice.
yeah,
He's got
he's got his new setup now, isn't he? He's
Oh,
changed his
man.
new. Yeah.
And there's another guy, PJ Maybe, man. What a great guy. What an exceptional collector that guy is. And most of his stuff comes from the charity shops, man.
Really?
Super impressed.
Yeah, those are cool finds. His place is really,
Oh,
really nice, man. He's got a nice setup and all that stuff, and he's able to find those unique pieces, in good condition at a charity shop. That's nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
Can I show you just one more thing?
Yeah, sure.
We've got him started now.
I know, right? It's a good sickness.
Look, these are more eagle moths. So I've got Kenny, another canine,
Nice.
another Tom,
Yeah.
another Delgado,
Nice.
another
Mhm.
Harnell, because he is number one.
Yep.
And then
Yeah.
I've got my
Dalek.
Daleks,
Oh yeah. Nice.
Yeah, so you got Imperial Dalek there.
and then
That's
I've got my cars.
Nice.
Like there's the DB5. I've got the Porsches.
Right.
I've got the Corvette from the one where 007 is in Las Vegas.
Diamonds are forever.
Oh yeah,
isn't it?
diamonds are forever. Yeah. Yep.
I've got my Weeping Angel.
Nice.
I see that. Yeah.
A nice weeping
And
angel
then-
there.
I've got my Ash,
Yeah.
Groovy.
and then
Well, yeah.
I've got the Groovy collection. Can you see that? The Evil
Yeah.
Dead.
Good. Nice.
And it doesn't come with Army of Darkness, so I had to
Ah.
get an Army of Darkness. And
Nice.
then I've got Ash, and then the Piece de Resistance.
007, 007.
Like I've
Bond.
got all the
Great.
007s
Oh, that's good.
up
Nice.
to 4, plus I've got single ones. But and then my doctors.
Right.
But have you seen this one?
Is that what I think it is? The
The
Godfather.
Godfather.
Oh, is that the 50th
Nice.
anniversary? Was it?
Nice.
Yeah, look at that! Look at that book.
Nice. I
I
know.
I I, I haven't been able to bring myself to open it.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
But I've also got this Godfather. Can you see that one?
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
well, and there's Michael with the busted eye.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Nice.
And then another Vito.
Oh.
And then Sonny with the trash can lid where he's
Oh.
beating the shit out of his brother-in-law.
Nice.
That's right, yeah.
And then, of course, I've got the regular Blu-ray of the Godfather trilogy.
I've just got them on DVD, I'm afraid.
Oh, sorry, guys. Yeah, I didn't mean to monopolize.
That's all right.
I just
That's
I
quite
just
all right,
barely
man.
I just barely I rarely get to show off my collection because you know
Cool.
it's just everywhere.
Yeah, no, I
But
hear you.
man, God, collecting it's just it, it's a sickness.
Like I said, it's
But
not a bad
because-
sickness.
right, you know, I mean, instead of doing drugs, you know,
Yeah.
I collect memorabilia.
I do believe it is a little bit more healthier than drugs, yes.
Yeah, definitely healthier.
Well, thanks so much for indulging me, man.
No problem, man. I used to know a man who had every James Bond movie on laser disc.
Oof.
That was up before, I think it was just about the time Pierce Brosnan took over.
Okay.
So he was able to still get them on Laserdisc up to the Pierce Brosnan era. So
oh man,
crazy. Yeah,
And-
he says that the quality was a hell of a lot better than DVD or anything like that. So
those laser discs are amazing, and
yeah,
a lot of them have uh, I don't know what you call the process, but they have pictures on them. You know what I mean? So not only can you watch the film in probably the best format that's out there, but
yeah,
they're pieces of art.
yeah. They're I don't know if they still I think about 5 years ago, I think I saw some Blu-rays in a department store for sale. You know, the
Oh,
regular
yeah.
stuff. It wasn't like, but I haven't like they're hard to come unless you're actually specifically looking for it. I'm sure you can still find that medium if you've got the players. But yeah, the quality is outshined everything, you know, really. But it's almost like an LP, the size of an LP, but it's so
Right.
much, you know, the quality, the sound, the visual, the whole 9 yards. But I don't know, it's a great format, you know, for its time. Well, it's still even today, it's a great format,
Yeah.
Laserdisc. But
It's probably one of those instances where it's a better format, but it's more expensive to produce,
Yeah, I think that's the case.
which
So,
is
Hey,
often the case, isn't it?
yep.
no, exactly. And it kind of became like Betamax, you know.
I
Yeah.
was waiting to say that's why I was thinking about that. Yeah, Betamax was I think
Yep.
the better format, but VHS was cheaper, so
Yeah.
Exactly.
it seems to be a
No,
common theme. So
Yep.
totally correct. The Betamax was the better format, and you know, picture quality, sound, everything was better, but they could produce the CDs much cheaper, and so it went the day of the dodo,
yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
which is a real
Mhm.
shame. Because imagine, uh, uh, imagine what Star Trek: The Motion Picture would have been like if it had been on Betamax or on Laserdisc.
Oh, I know.
You know, it
I can
just
only
would
imagine.
it would have been a seminal film that blew everyone's mind.
Right. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I didn't have Betamax. We had a VHS thing here.
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
Yeah, we never had a beta either.
yeah. It's a VHS I remember having. I know
Yeah.
somebody who did have a Betamax. Man.
Mhm. Yep. Well,
as for
gentlemen.
as for laser discs, I've never seen one.
Yeah.
So
Well, gentlemen, I think I'm going to call it a day today.
very
We're
well.
about 3 hours and 17 minutes into this short stream.
Yeah, it's
So, but I want to thank Cam for being able to come on. Appreciate
nice
you
to
being
see you,
on
Cam
and
Cam. This is
yeah,
the
hearing
first time
from
we've
you
spoken
and seeing
properly.
all your
So
goodies.
Oh, thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure. Uh, Even when I'm not in the chat, I'm usually lurking you guys. Um,
lurking.
uh,
Lurking.
I always enjoy Crual's take on things. Um, he has a lot of insights and is just a super guy.
I
And of
certainly have
course,
lots of opinions.
well, and that's it, you know, that's the most important part is to have an opinion. You know what I mean? Too
Yeah.
many people are wishy washy, and they go along with whatever's popular, and that's bullshit. You need to form your own opinions, and you need to be able to defend them and express them in an intelligent manner, and
Mhm.
you always do that. And I'd also like to say that Wookie, you're a great host, man. You heard the cats. Um, you have great people on. You also have a great collection, and it's always a great time just hanging out with you guys. And Time Prophet and Abby, someone in the chat, are always great. Pops,
Oh yeah.
we love you.
Yep.
And thank you so much for letting me to come on and show some of my stuff. And I hope I didn't dominate the conversation.
Not at all.
No, not at all, man. Not at all. No, I really appreciate you coming on. And I said I appreciate your time. And Cruel Birab, I always appreciate having you on. It's always a good time.
Thank you for
And
having us as always. It's
yeah.
always a good laugh.
Oh yeah. Always have a good Saturday with
Nice bit of
you
banter, a
on.
bit of fun. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. And in the chats, I always appreciate having the Time Prophet in there and
absolutely.
Abby Someone and Papa Cotton was in here, Edge of
Yeah, we've got
Time.
that. We've got that File 13 guy. We've never
Yeah,
heard of him
Willie
before. He's
Willie was
new
in there at
guy.
Final
New
13.
guy.
And then, of course, a special drop in by Mr. Brown, who is
Yes,
will be
thank you for
streaming
popping
tonight.
in, Mister
Yeah,
Broon.
yeah, because he says he is streaming
Yeah,
Saturday. Yep. So yeah, he's right there. He's gonna post it on Saturday. So tonight you'll have a thing coming out. And then, of course, there's Tim Possible was in the chat for a little bit, jumping in
Tim,
to say hello.
Did I miss Tim Possible? Did I?
Yeah, he was in for a brief minute toward
Must have been a,
the middle beginning to
must
the
have been a,
middle,
must have been a
coming there
stealth
for a
chat.
little
Yeah, a
bit.
little bit of
Yeah,
in
he
and
was
out.
in. He was in here about an hour and 20 minutes ago
Well,
in the
that could have been
chat
when I went for a
his
pee, so I could
chats.
have missed. That could have been when I went for a pee.
Possibly, yeah. We had to go take a break. So, but yeah, thanks for everybody being in the chat, and then everybody who was watching. We really appreciate your time, and we'll
Like
be
and
doing this
subscribe,
again.
people.
Yes, please like and subscribe to the channel, and
leave a comment.
yes, definitely leave a comment down below.
Come on, do it.
Come on, do it. And we'll be back next Saturday with another hopefully interesting sci-fi subject. So we'll look forward to seeing everybody again next week. Have a great weekend, and